Ancient Egypt, a land of golden sands and powerful gods, was more than just a civilization. It was a world where the boundaries between humans and the divine were blurred, where the everyday was touched by the sacred, and the gods were not distant beings, but part of life itself. The people of Egypt lived under the gaze of their gods, feeling their presence in the Nile's gentle flow, the scorching sun, and the whispering winds of the desert. Their beliefs weren't just stories told to pass the time, they were the foundation of their entire world. In the warm glow of the morning sun, farmers tilled their fields, knowing that Ra, the sun god, watched over them. Each night, as the stars appeared in the vast desert sky, they believed it was Nut, the sky goddess, arching her body over the earth. Life and mythology were intertwined, woven together like the linen that wrapped their mummies. Their faith was not something separate from life, it breathed within every action, every thought. Egyptian mythology was born from the landscapes that shaped their existence. The Nile, the lifeblood of Egypt, was more than a river. It was a god, Hapi, whose seasonal floods brought life to the fields. The desert that stretched beyond the fertile land wasn't just a barren wasteland, it was the domain of Set, the god of chaos and storms. Every natural element had a divine counterpart, and this connection gave the people of Egypt a profound sense of belonging to something far greater than themselves. The gods themselves were not distant, aloof figures. They had human qualities, emotions, and flaws. Osiris, the god of the dead, was betrayed and murdered by his own brother, Set, in a tale of envy and power. Isis, Osiris's devoted wife, used her boundless love and incredible magic to bring him back to life. These weren't just gods, they were characters and stories of love, betrayal, grief, and hope. These tales gave the Egyptians strength to face their own struggles, knowing that even the gods faced hardship. The myths and the gods shaped every part of Egyptian life. Birth, death, and everything in between were connected to the divine. When a child was born, they believed that Taweret, the goddess of childbirth, watched over the mother, protecting her in those vulnerable moments. When death approached, Anubis, the jackal-headed god, was there to guide the soul through the mysteries of the afterlife, ensuring that the heart was pure enough to join the gods in eternity. This connection to the gods wasn't only a matter of faith, it was about survival. The ancient Egyptians knew that their gods controlled the forces of nature, and in a land where the desert could swallow entire cities and the Nile could either bless them with abundance or drown their fields, appeasing the gods was a necessity. Every harvest, every rising of the sun, and every breath they took was a gift from the divine. The people showed their gratitude through prayers, offerings, and rituals that filled their temples with life and devotion. The temples themselves were not just buildings, they were homes for the gods. Massive stone pillars stretched toward the sky, covered in hieroglyphs that told the stories of the gods and the deeds of the pharaohs. The scent of incense filled the air, and priests performed sacred rituals, their chants echoing off the walls. These priests were the keepers of the gods, performing the daily tasks of feeding, clothing, and caring for the statues that housed the spirits of the deities. To the Egyptians, these statues weren't just representations, they were the gods themselves, present and watching. Pharaohs, too, weren't just kings, they were gods on earth. Every pharaoh was considered the living Horus, the falcon god of kingship and protection. In death, they became Osiris, the ruler of the afterlife. This divine kingship wasn't just a title, it was a responsibility. The pharaoh was tasked with maintaining Ma'at, the divine order of balance and justice. The entire universe, they believed, could fall into chaos if the pharaoh failed to keep this balance. The weight of the heavens rested on their shoulders, yet the people trusted that their ruler was chosen by the gods themselves. The world of ancient Egypt was not static, it was always in motion, constantly being shaped by the wills and whims of the gods. When the Nile flooded too little or too much, it wasn't seen as an accident of nature but as a message from the gods, perhaps a sign of displeasure. This uncertainty led to an ever-present sense of reverence and fear, as the people sought to stay in the gods' good graces. They built temples, made offerings, and followed rituals with the belief that, through these actions, they could influence the gods and secure their favor. Even death, which looms so large in the mythologies of other cultures, was not feared in the same way in Egypt. The Egyptians believed that death was simply a passage to a new life, a journey to the underworld where Osiris ruled. But this journey was not guaranteed to be easy. To reach the afterlife, the soul had to be judged. The heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of Maat, the symbol of truth and justice. If the heart was pure, the soul could live forever in the field of reeds, a paradise where they would be reunited with their loved ones. But if the heart was heavy with sin, it was devoured by Ammit, the fearsome beast that ended the soul's existence. These beliefs gave the Egyptians comfort in a world full of uncertainty. The rituals and myths offered explanations for the mysteries of life and death, a guide to the unknown. But they also gave something more, hope. Hope that even in the face of death, there was something more, something beyond the tomb, a place where the struggles of this world would end, and peace would begin. The beauty of Egyptian mythology lies in its humanity. These gods, with their incredible powers and influence over nature, were still reflections of the human experience. They laughed, they wept, they loved, they fought. The people of Egypt, in turn, saw their own lives mirrored in the stories of the gods. Through these myths, they made sense of the world around them, finding meaning in the endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth. In the heart of the desert, where the sun scorched the earth and the Nile brought life, the ancient Egyptians found their gods. And through those gods, they found themselves. In the beginning, before time, before the land of Egypt rose from the waters, there was nothing. Just silence. Darkness. An endless sea stretched into infinity, cold and empty. But out of that vast emptiness, something stirred. From the depths of the watery chaos, the first god emerged, Adam. He was alone, standing in the void, the only being in existence. With nothing around him, Adam gazed into the nothingness and willed himself to create. He was not born from anything, he existed purely from his own will. Adam's heart ached with loneliness, for there was no sky, no earth, no light, just the endless waters of none, the primordial ocean. He knew that to change this, he had to create life, to bring forth the world from the void. So, in a moment of raw power, Adam reached out and created the first elements of life. He gave birth to his children from his own body. Out of him came Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture. The universe began to shift. Shu, with his gentle breath, separated the sky from the earth. Tefnut, with her flowing grace, brought the first rains. But the chaos was not yet done. As Shu and Tefnut ventured into the world to shape it, they became lost in the endless nothingness. Adam, aching with grief, sent his one true eye to search for them. When they were finally found and returned to him, he wept with relief. From those tears, life was born, men and women, the first people of Egypt. The barren earth began to bloom, the river started to flow, and the world was slowly taking form. Shu and Tefnut's union brought forth more life. Geb, the earth god, and Nut, the sky goddess, emerged. Their love was so intense that they clung to each other in an eternal embrace, but this closeness caused chaos. Nothing could grow between them. So, Shu, with his strong arms, pushed them apart, lifting Nut high into the heavens while Geb remained below, giving shape to the land. Nut's body became the sky, her starry figure stretched across the heavens, and Geb lay beneath her, his rich soil giving birth to mountains and valleys. Though separated, Nut and Geb continued their love, sending the rains and growing the crops. This was the Heliopolitan vision of creation, where the gods of the sun and the sky, the earth and air, worked together to bring the world into being. But this was only one story the Egyptians told about the birth of the universe. In another sacred city, Hermopolis, the people told a different tale, one that was equally powerful and filled with mystery. In the beginning, they said, there were 8 gods, 4 male and 4 female. These gods embodied the forces of chaos. There was Nun and Nonet, representing the boundless waters. He and Ha stood for the endlessness of time. Kuk and Kakad brought darkness, and Ammonius and Amulet symbolized the hidden forces of creation. These 8 deities swirled together in the darkness, their powers combining, until finally, out of this chaotic swirl, an egg was laid. This egg was no ordinary egg. From it, the sun god Ra was born. His light shattered the darkness, bringing life to the world. As Ra rose into the sky, his brilliance banished the shadows, and from that light came order. The chaotic forces of the 8 gods faded into the background as Ra's power shaped the universe. The sun became the heart of creation, and every day, when it rose, the world was renewed. With Ra's presence, life could thrive. But there was another vision of creation, one whispered in the great city of Memphis, where the craftsman god Ptah held sway. In this version of the story, Ptah was the creator, but not through birth or chaos. He was a god of thought and speech, a god whose power came from the mind. Ptah looked into the nothingness and, with pure thought, spoke the world into existence. His words were not just sounds, but acts of creation themselves. Ptah envisioned the universe, and with each word, he gave life to the gods and the world. First, he imagined Adam, and with a word, Adam was born. Ptah's words shaped the waters, the air, the earth, and all the creatures that crawled upon it. He didn't need to use force or magic, his voice was enough. Every tree, every river, every animal that moved across the land was shaped by his thoughts, given form by his voice. This story of creation was different from the others, for it celebrated the power of intellect over raw force. Ptah's creation was not born from conflict or chaos, but from careful planning, from the thought that the world must exist, and so it did. The stories were different, yet the gods remained the same in their essence. Adam, Ra, and Ptah, all three were creators, but each in their own unique way. Adam gave birth to the world through the force of his body, Ra through the power of his light, and Ptah through the wisdom of his mind. The Egyptians, with their boundless imagination, understood that creation was too vast to be explained by just one story, and so they told many, each one adding a new layer to the beauty of their world. In these myths, creation was not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. Each sunrise was a reminder that Ra, the sun god, had triumphed once again over the forces of darkness. Each breath of wind was a sign of Shu's presence, separating the sky from the earth. And every heartbeat echoed the power of Ptah's words, keeping the world in balance. These creation myths were not distant tales meant to explain a world long gone, they were living stories, felt in every part of Egyptian life. The gods, through their actions, had shaped not just the physical world, but the spiritual one as well. And in each story, the Egyptians found meaning, hope, and a reminder that the forces of life were always present, always at work, creating, sustaining, and renewing the world. In the heart of the ancient desert, where the sand stretched endlessly and the Nile carved its way through the land, the Egyptians looked up at the sky and saw more than stars. They saw a vast and sacred order, a world that extended beyond the physical earth they stood on. To them, the universe was alive, woven together by the gods who shaped its every corner. The sky, the earth, and the underworld were not just places, they were realms of divine power, where the gods themselves moved, where every sunrise and storm, every death and birth, carried the weight of eternity. Above the earth, the Egyptians saw Nut, the goddess of the sky. She was more than just the blue expanse overhead, she was the mother who arched her body over the world, her arms and legs stretching from horizon to horizon. Her skin was painted with stars, and every night she swallowed the sun, only to give birth to it again each morning. Her love for the earth god Geb was so strong that Shu, the god of air, had to push them apart, holding the sky high above the earth. But even as they were separated, their bond remained. Nut's tears became the rain that fell on Geb, nourishing his soil, bringing life to the land. She cradled the universe in her embrace, protecting the world beneath her, while Geb, her beloved, gave it the foundation on which all things grew. The earth itself, Geb, was not just a place to stand on, but a living, breathing god. His body was the soil, the mountains, the rivers. The Egyptians felt his presence beneath their feet. They believed that when the earth shook with an earthquake, it was Geb's laughter, a deep, rumbling sound that echoed across the land. Every blade of grass, every grain of sand, was a part of him. The crops that grew, the animals that roamed, all were nurtured by his strength. And though Geb remained separated from Nut in the heavens, he could still feel her, could still receive the rain she sent to him, a reminder of their eternal love. Beneath the earth, hidden from the eyes of the living, lay the Duat, the Underworld. It was not a place of eternal torment, as in other ancient beliefs, but a mysterious realm where the souls of the dead traveled after leaving the mortal world. Osiris, the god of the afterlife, ruled here. He had once walked the earth as a living god, but after his betrayal and death at the hands of his brother Set, he became the king of the dead. Osiris was not a fearsome ruler, he was a god of mercy and justice. Those who entered the Duat were judged, their hearts weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and balance. If their hearts were light, they were welcomed into the field of reeds, a paradise where they could live in peace for eternity. If their hearts were heavy with sin, they would face destruction. But even in death, there was hope that the soul could find peace, that the journey through the Duat would end in reunion with loved ones. The universe, in Egyptian belief, was a delicate balance between these realms. The sky, the earth, and the underworld were not separate, they were intertwined, connected by the gods who moved between them. Ra, the sun god, was the great traveler. Every day, he sailed across the sky in his boat, bringing light and warmth to the world. But when night fell, Ra did not rest. He descended into the Duat, where he battled the forces of chaos, led by the great serpent Apep, who sought to destroy the world. Each night, Ra faced Apep, and each night he triumphed, ensuring that the sun would rise again. His journey through the underworld was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, light would always return. The Nile, the life-giving river, was another thread that connected the universe. Its waters flowed from the heart of Egypt, winding through the land like a great artery. The Egyptians believed that the Nile was a gift from the gods, a symbol of the balance between life and death. Each year, its floods brought fertility to the land, but they also carried the risk of destruction. Hapi, the god of the Nile, was a source of abundance, but also a reminder of the fragility of life. The river's rise and fall mirrored the cycle of life itself: birth, growth, death, and rebirth. It was through the Nile that the Egyptians saw the god's hand in every part of their world, from the smallest grain of wheat to the towering temples that lined its banks. But not all forces in the universe were kind. Set, the god of chaos and storms, threatened the harmony that the gods worked so hard to maintain. He was the desert wind, harsh and unforgiving, the force that could sweep away crops and destroy villages in a single moment. Set's influence was felt in every storm that swept across the land, and every act of violence or betrayal. Yet, even Set had a place in the universe. Without chaos, there could be no order. His battles with Horus, the falcon-headed god of kingship and protection, were not just conflicts between gods, they were cosmic struggles between order and disorder, between life and death. And though Set often caused destruction, the Egyptians knew that he was necessary, that without the chaos he brought, there could be no balance. The gods were not distant figures, watching from the heavens. They were present in every gust of wind, every flash of lightning, every drop of rain. The Egyptians believed that the gods were part of the natural world, that the forces of nature were their expressions. When the sun rose each morning, it wasn't just the start of a new day, it was Ra, once again victorious over the darkness. When the Nile overflowed its banks, it wasn't just a natural event, it was Hapi blessing the land with life. The Egyptians looked to the sky, to the earth, to the river, and saw the divine in every part of their world. The structure of the universe was a fragile dance, held together by the gods and their constant vigilance. Without Ra's journey, the sun would not rise. Without Nut's embrace, the sky would fall to the earth. Without Osiris's guidance, the souls of the dead would be lost forever. Every god had a role, every force of nature had a purpose, and the Egyptians lived with the knowledge that they were part of this great, sacred order. In their world, life was not a series of random events. It was a carefully crafted balance, shaped by the gods who loved, fought, and worked to keep the universe in harmony. The Egyptians felt this connection in every moment, in every breath. The gods were not distant, they were here, with them, in the sky, the earth, the water. And through this divine balance, the universe thrived, a testament to the power and love of the gods who created it. In the beginning, there was Ra, the great sun god. His light pierced the darkness and brought the world into existence. Ra wasn't just the giver of life, he was life itself. His rays warmed the earth, and without him, all would return to nothingness. He sailed across the sky each day in his boat, battling the forces of chaos at night to ensure that the world would survive to see another dawn. Ra was the heart of everything, the light that drove away the shadows. But Ra was not alone in shaping the universe. From him came Shu and Tefnut, his first children. Shu was the god of air, the gentle breath that filled the lungs of every living creature. He was the force that kept the sky high above the earth, separating Nut, the goddess of the sky, from her lover, Geb, the god of the earth. Shu's role was not easy. He was caught between two forces that yearned for one another, yet his strength kept them apart so that life could flourish between them. Without Shu, the sky would collapse, and the world would be smothered. Tefnut, the goddess of moisture, brought balance to Shu's air. She was the rain, the dew on the grass, the water that gave life to the parched land. Where Shu was the breath of life, Tefnut was its sustenance. Together, they balanced each other, air and water, the essentials for survival. But there was something more to Tefnut. She was also the embodiment of order. Where there was chaos, she brought structure. Her presence ensured that life thrived, that the natural world remained in harmony. From Shu and Tefnut came Geb and Nut, the earth and the sky. Geb lay beneath, his body forming the fertile soil that grew crops, the mountains that stood tall, the valleys that cradled the rivers. He was the foundation of the world, and his love for Nut was deep and unbreakable. Nut, the sky goddess, arched her body over him, her dark, starry form protecting the earth from the vast emptiness beyond. Every night, Nut swallowed the sun, only to give birth to it again in the morning, renewing the cycle of life. Her love for Geb was undeniable, and though they were separated by Shu, their bond was eternal. The rain that Nut sent to Geb was her way of touching him, of nourishing the world they created together. But even in this love, there was pain. Geb and Nut's children, the next generation of gods, were born into a world of joy and sorrow, life and death. Osiris, their son, was the god of life and the underworld, a paradox that the Egyptians held dear. He represented fertility, growth, and the promise of rebirth, but he was also the ruler of the afterlife, where souls went after they left the mortal world. Osiris was a just and kind ruler, beloved by the people, but his life was marked by tragedy. His brother, Seth, was the embodiment of chaos and destruction. Seth was the desert wind, the storm that ripped through the land, leaving devastation in its wake. His jealousy and anger toward Osiris were overwhelming. In an act of betrayal that would scar the gods forever, Seth murdered Osiris, tearing him apart and scattering his body across the land. It was an act of unspeakable cruelty, but even in death, Osiris found a way to live on. His wife, Isis, would not let him go. Isis was a goddess of magic and healing, and her love for Osiris knew no bounds. She searched tirelessly for his body, gathering the pieces one by one, until she had reassembled him. With her magic, she breathed life back into him, though he could no longer walk the earth as a living god. Osiris became the ruler of the underworld, where he presided over the souls of the dead, offering them the hope of rebirth in the afterlife. His death had transformed him, but his legacy of life and renewal endured. Isis's devotion to Osiris was legendary, but her strength did not end with his resurrection. She protected their son, Horus, raising him in secret to keep him safe from Seth's wrath. Horus, the falcon-headed god, grew to embody kingship and justice, becoming the avenger of his father's murder. When the time was right, he challenged Seth for the throne, engaging in a fierce battle that shook the heavens and the earth. Horus fought not just for revenge, but to restore balance to the world, to bring order where Seth had sown chaos. His victory was not just a personal one, it was a triumph for all that was good and just. Yet even in the midst of this cosmic battle, there was another figure often forgotten, but equally important. Nephthys, the sister of Isis and Seth, stood on the fringes of these events, her role quiet yet powerful. Though married to Seth, her heart lay elsewhere. She was a goddess of mourning, a guardian of the dead, and she aided Isis in her search for Osiris's body. Nephthys' sorrow for her brother-in-law's death was deep, and though she was often in the shadows, her loyalty to Isis and Osiris was unwavering. Together, the sisters formed a bond that transcended the violence of Seth's actions, a bond that helped restore life to Osiris and protect his legacy through Horus. The Ennead of Heliopolis, these 9 gods, represented the entirety of existence to the ancient Egyptians. They were more than deities, they were the forces that shaped the world. Ra's light, Shu's air, Tefnut's water, Geb's earth, Nut's sky, Osiris's life and death, Isis's magic, Seth's chaos, and Nephthys' mourning. Together, they formed a web of life, death, love, and loss. Every aspect of the universe, every joy and sorrow, every storm and sunrise, was connected to these gods. Their stories were not just myths, they were the heartbeat of the world itself. Through their lives, their struggles, and their loves, the Egyptians found meaning in the mysteries of existence. Each sunrise was a promise from Ra, each gust of wind a whisper from Shu, each drop of rain a gift from Tefnut. The soil beneath their feet was Geb's body, and the sky above was Nut's protection. The cycle of life and death, so perfectly embodied by Osiris and Isis, echoed in every corner of their world. Even Seth, with his violent storms and harsh desert winds, had a place in this delicate balance. The Ennead wasn't just a collection of gods, it was the story of life itself, a story of creation, destruction, love, and redemption, written across the stars, the earth, and the sky. In the stillness before time, before the sun first rose and before the earth took shape, there was only darkness. It was a vast and endless expanse, a silence so deep that it seemed to swallow everything, even the idea of sound itself. But this darkness wasn't empty, it was alive. Beneath its surface, unseen forces stirred. In that primordial void, the waters of chaos waited, endless and formless. These waters held everything, the potential for life, the seed of creation, and the gods who would one day bring the world into being. From this deep, boundless ocean emerged the Ogdoad, 8 ancient deities who embodied the very essence of this chaos. They weren't like the gods we think of today, gods with human faces and familiar stories. No, the Ogdoad were older, more mysterious. They represented the forces of nature that existed before the world had formed, before there was light to see or land to walk upon. There was Nun and Nonet, the personifications of the primordial waters themselves. They were the very essence of the endless ocean, the darkness beneath the world, the depths that no one could ever fully understand. Nun was the vast male force, the water that stretched in every direction, while Nonet, his female counterpart, represented the hidden, the depths that lay beyond reach. Together, they were the potential of all creation, the waters from which everything would rise. Then there was Ammonius and Amunet, who represented the hidden powers of the universe. Ammonius was the unseen wind, the force that moved without being seen, whispering through the void. He wasn't yet the great god of Thebes that he would later become. Here, in the beginning, he was something far more elusive. Amunet, his partner, was the hidden one, the mystery that lay in the darkness. Together, they were the breath of creation that hadn't yet been exhaled, the force that would one day give shape to the world. Kuk and Kakhet embodied the darkness itself. Kuk was the male form of darkness, the endless night, the shadow that blanketed everything. Kakhet, the female counterpart, was the even deeper darkness that lay beyond the stars. They weren't the kind of darkness that inspires fear, but the kind that holds possibility. They were the comfort of night, the calm that comes before the first spark of dawn. Without their darkness, light could never have been born. And finally, there was Ha and Ha-He, the gods of infinity and endlessness. Ha was the male representation of eternity, the endlessness that stretched in every direction, without beginning or end. Ha-He was his female counterpart, embodying the limitless possibilities that lay within the universe. Together, they were time before time existed, the endless stretch of potential that waited for creation to begin. These 8 gods, the Ogdoad, didn't walk the earth or live in temples. They existed in the chaotic waters before the world took form, representing the raw, untamed forces of the universe. They were not concerned with human affairs or the order of the natural world, those things didn't exist yet. Their power lay in the fact that they were there before everything, holding the very essence of creation within themselves. But something stirred within that chaotic sea. The Ogdoad moved together, and from their union, the first spark of life began to flicker. It was a small light at first, just a glimmer in the vast darkness. But as it grew, it became the first sign that something more was coming. From the swirling waters of Nun and Nonnet, from the hidden breath of Ammonius and Amunet, from the shadows of Kuk and Kakhet, and from the infinite stretch of Ha and Ha-He, the world began to take shape. It wasn't an easy birth. The forces of chaos didn't give way without resistance. But within that struggle, something beautiful began to emerge. The first mound of earth rose from the waters, a small, fragile island in the midst of the endless sea. This was the beginning. The light that flickered in the darkness grew brighter, and as it did, the first gods of creation stepped forward, ready to shape the world. Though the Ogdoad retreated into the background, their presence never left. They remained the foundation of everything that would come after. Every time the Nile flooded its banks, the Egyptians believed it was Nun and Nonet's waters of chaos returning, reminding the world of its origins. Every gust of wind was Ammonius' breath, a reminder of the unseen forces that still moved through the world. The darkness of night was Kuk and Kakhet's domain, a quiet time when the world returned to its origins, waiting for the light of Ra to bring it back to life. And the endless cycle of time, the turning of seasons and the passage of years, was Ha and Ha-He, ensuring that creation never stopped, that life continued to unfold in all its beauty and complexity. The Ogdoad may not have been the gods of temples or the gods of everyday life, but their influence was felt in every moment of existence. They were the forces behind the gods who created the world, the whispers in the dark before the first dawn, the unseen hands that guided creation from the chaos of the primordial waters. Without them, there would be no world, no gods, no life. They were the beginning, the origin of everything. And though their time passed as the universe took shape, the Egyptians never forgot the power of the chaos that came before. In their hearts, they knew that creation wasn't a single event, but an ongoing process. Every sunrise was a reminder that chaos had been tamed, but it could return at any moment. Every flood, every storm, every nightfall was a reminder that the forces of the Ogdoad still lingered, that chaos was always just beneath the surface, waiting to rise again. In the end, the Ogdoad weren't just gods of chaos and primordial waters, they were the essence of possibility. From their endless depths came everything that would ever be, the gods, the earth, the sky, and all the beauty and wonder that filled the world. And in that, there was something comforting, something eternal. Chaos wasn't just destruction, it was the birthplace of creation itself. In the stillness of the early morning, when the world is wrapped in darkness, there is a moment of quiet anticipation. And then, like a heartbeat returning after a long pause, the first light breaks across the horizon. It is Ra, the sun god, the giver of life. His golden light spills over the land, chasing away the shadows, waking the earth from its slumber. Without him, there would be nothing, no warmth, no life, no hope. Every day begins and ends with him, his presence felt in every corner of the world. Ra is not just the sun. He is the king of the gods, the creator of all things. From his very being, the world was born. When there was nothing, it was Ra who brought life into existence. He called forth the sky, the earth, the stars, and the waters. Every living creature, every blade of grass, every grain of sand, everything owes its existence to Ra's will. He is not a distant creator, sitting apart from his creation. He is in the very heart of it, his light shining down on all that he has made. But Ra's work is not easy. Every day, he rises in the east and begins his journey across the sky. From the moment his light touches the earth, he is locked in an eternal struggle against the forces of chaos. He rides his boat, the great solar bark, across the heavens, his eyes ever watchful. Below him, the world thrives under his protection. The crops grow, the rivers flow, and the people go about their lives, all under the gaze of their sun god. As the day progresses, Ra's light grows stronger, reaching its peak at midday. His power is at its height, the world basking in the full warmth of his presence. It is a time of life, of energy, and of growth. But Ra knows that this moment is fleeting. Soon, his journey will take him westward, and the shadows will start to lengthen. The sky will darken, and his light will begin to fade. But the setting of the sun is not the end of Ra's journey. It is only the beginning of his most dangerous task. As the sun dips below the horizon, Ra enters the Underworld, the dark, shadowy realm where chaos waits. It is here, in the depths of the night, that Ra faces his greatest enemy, Apep, the Serpent of Darkness. Every night, as the world sleeps, Ra fights for the survival of all creation. Apep seeks to devour the sun, to plunge the world into eternal night. The battle between Ra and Apep is fierce, relentless, and it happens every night, unseen by the world above. Ra's journey through the Underworld is not just a battle, it is a transformation. As he moves through the 12 hours of the night, Ra is reborn. Each hour brings him closer to the dawn, closer to the moment when he will rise again in the east and bring his light back to the world. His passage through the Underworld is both a journey of death and rebirth. He descends into the darkness, only to emerge victorious every morning, his light renewed, his power restored. Throughout the night, Ra is not alone. He is accompanied by other gods, who help him in his fight against the forces of chaos. Together, they protect the world from the darkness, ensuring that the sun will rise again. But it is Ra who leads them, Ra who bears the greatest burden. His strength, his courage, and his will to protect his creation never falter. When the first light of dawn breaks through, it is a moment of triumph. Ra has conquered the darkness once again. His light spreads across the sky, bringing warmth and life to the earth. The world stirs, the birds sing, and the people wake to a new day. But this victory is bittersweet, for Ra knows that the battle will never end. Each night, he must return to the Underworld and face Apep once more. It is a cycle, an eternal struggle between light and darkness, order and chaos. Ra's journey is not just a physical one. It is a symbol of the fragility of life, the constant balance between creation and destruction. The Egyptians understood this. To them, Ra was not just a god to be worshipped, but a reminder that every day was a gift, a victory against the forces of chaos. Every sunrise was a promise that life would continue, that Ra would always return, no matter how dark the night. But Ra's role as the sun god and protector was only part of his story. He was also a god of immense wisdom, the one who governed the heavens and the earth with justice. As the king of the gods, Ra ruled with fairness and compassion, his wisdom guiding the other gods as they carried out their duties. His decisions shaped the world, ensuring that order prevailed over chaos, that life continued to flourish. Ra's relationship with the other gods was complex. Some gods, like Thoth and Mot, stood by him, representing wisdom and truth, working alongside him to maintain balance in the universe. Others, like Apep, constantly sought to undermine his power, to destroy the order he had created. Yet through it all, Ra remained steadfast. His light never wavered, his resolve never weakened. Even as time passed and other gods rose to prominence, Ra's presence remained vital. He was the father of all creation, the force that gave life to the gods themselves. His blood flowed in their veins, and his power coursed through their actions. Every god, every being in the universe, owed their existence to Ra. He was the origin of everything, the light that brought the universe into being. As the sun rises each day, it carries with it the legacy of Ra. His journey, his struggles, and his victories are written across the sky. Each dawn is a reminder that Ra's light is eternal, that no matter how many battles he faces, he will always return to bring life to the world. His light shines on, bright and unyielding, a beacon of hope in a world that constantly teeters on the edge of chaos. There is a silence that falls when life fades. It is a stillness so profound, it feels like the world itself holds its breath. In ancient Egypt, death was not an end but a passage, a doorway leading to something beyond. At the heart of this mystery stood Osiris, the god of the dead, the one who understood that death is not the final word. He was the god who lived through death, who knew its cold embrace and yet emerged with the promise of life renewed. Osiris was more than a god to the people. He was hope, the embodiment of the eternal cycle of life, death, and resurrection. His story is one of betrayal, suffering, and the kind of love that defies even death. It begins in a time when Osiris ruled Egypt, not from the shadows of the underworld, but as a king, a just, wise, and beloved ruler. His reign was a golden age, where peace and harmony flourished under his guidance. Osiris taught his people how to farm, how to live together in peace, and how to worship the gods. Under his rule, life blossomed. But where there is light, there is often a shadow. In this case, the shadow was Osiris's own brother, Seth. Seth was not content with the order and prosperity his brother had created. Chaos burned in his heart, and jealousy consumed him. He coveted the throne, not for the good it could bring, but for the power it held. And so, in the darkness of his mind, Seth began to plot the destruction of his own blood. The day came when Seth, with a heart full of malice, invited Osiris to a grand feast, a celebration that concealed the most sinister of plans. As the guests gathered, Seth presented a beautiful chest, intricately carved and glittering with gold. He declared that whoever fit perfectly into the chest would have it as a gift. One by one, the guests tried, but none could fit quite like Osiris. When Osiris lay down in the chest, Seth's eyes gleamed with cruel satisfaction. In a flash, he and his accomplices slammed the lid shut, sealing Osiris inside. They nailed it closed, trapping the living god within. Without hesitation, Seth hurled the chest into the Nile, where it was carried away by the current, disappearing into the unknown depths. With Osiris gone, the land wept. The crops withered, and the world seemed to lose its breath. Death had claimed its first god. But this was not to be the end of Osiris's story. His devoted wife, Isis, refused to let her beloved remain lost in death's cold grip. Her heart shattered but unyielding, she searched for Osiris, moving heaven and earth in her quest to find him. It was a journey that took her across the vast stretches of Egypt, and finally, with the help of her sister Nephthys, she discovered Osiris's body. But Seth was not finished. Furious that Osiris had been found, Seth stole the body and, in a final act of cruelty, dismembered it into 14 pieces, scattering them across the land. Osiris's body was torn apart, and with it, the hope of resurrection seemed lost forever. But Isis was not a goddess who knew how to give up. Piece by piece, she gathered Osiris's remains, with a devotion so pure it pierced through the veil of death. She found every part of him, except for one. With her magic, and the power of her love, she reassembled Osiris's body. Then, in a moment that defied the laws of nature, Isis breathed life into him once more. Osiris opened his eyes, not as the king of the living, but as the ruler of the dead. He had passed through death and returned, forever changed. In this rebirth, Osiris took his place as the god of the afterlife, the lord of the underworld, who welcomed the souls of the dead into his kingdom. He was not a harsh ruler, nor did he sit in judgment with cold detachment. Osiris was a god who had known death intimately, who understood its mysteries and its sorrow. He ruled the underworld with compassion, offering the promise of eternal life to those who lived justly. For the ancient Egyptians, the story of Osiris was not just a tale of gods and magic. It was the foundation of their understanding of life and death. To die was not to be cast into an eternal abyss, but to be brought before Osiris, who would weigh their hearts against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and order. If their hearts were pure, they were welcomed into the field of reeds, a paradise where they would live forever, just as Osiris had. If their hearts were heavy with sin, they would be devoured, their souls lost forever. In Osiris, the Egyptians found comfort. His death and resurrection mirrored the natural world they saw around them. The Nile would flood, nourishing the land, only to recede and leave behind fertile soil, ready for the next cycle of growth. The sun would set, only to rise again with the promise of a new day. Osiris was this eternal cycle personified. He was the seed that must die to bring forth new life, the sun that sets only to rise again, the soul that passes through death's door but finds eternal life on the other side. Osiris's story is not one of finality, but of transformation. He was torn apart, shattered beyond recognition, and yet he rose. He became the god who held the power over death itself, not by conquering it, but by embracing it. In him, the Egyptians found hope that even in the darkest moments, there is the possibility of rebirth. Isis's love for Osiris, her refusal to let death have the last word, and Osiris's quiet strength in his new role as Lord of the Underworld became a beacon for all who feared the unknown journey into death. In their hearts, the Egyptians believed that Osiris waited for them, not as a distant god, but as a guide who had walked the path before them, who understood their fears, and who offered them a place in his eternal kingdom. Osiris, once a king of the living, became the king of the dead, a god who offered not just an end, but a beginning. His light, though dimmed in the underworld, continued to shine for all who sought it. Through his death, life itself found a way to continue forever. In the soft glow of moonlight, when the world is quiet and shadows fall gently across the earth, there is a presence felt, as ancient as time itself. It is the presence of Isis, the great mother goddess, whose love and magic have shaped the destinies of gods and men alike. She is the one whose strength knows no bounds, whose compassion touches the deepest parts of the soul. Her heart, full of boundless love, is woven into the very fabric of life and death, guiding all with a mother's tenderness. Isis was not just a goddess, but the embodiment of love and devotion. Her magic was not the kind that merely altered the physical world, it reached into the spiritual realm, touching the very essence of existence. Her powers were unmatched, not born from dominance but from love, loyalty, and a determination that transcended even death. When the world turned its back, Isis never wavered. It was her heart that carried her through the darkest trials, through grief and loss, and it was her magic that brought light back into the world when all seemed lost. Her love for Osiris, her beloved husband, was the kind of love that stories are built upon, deep, eternal, and unbreakable. When Osiris was taken from her, locked away in a chest and cast into the Nile, Isis did not mourn passively. She searched for him tirelessly, driven by a pain so raw it felt as if the world itself might unravel. With every breath, she called out for him, her tears mixing with the waters of the Nile, her heart aching for the touch of his hand, the sound of his voice. And when she finally found him, her grief could have consumed her. But Isis was not a goddess who succumbed to despair. She gathered Osiris's body, held him close, and vowed to restore him, no matter the cost. Even when Seth's jealousy ripped Osiris's body apart, scattering his remains across the land, Isis did not falter. She was the goddess who found the pieces of her husband's body, cradling them as if they were the most precious things in the world. Each piece she retrieved was a testament to her devotion, a symbol of her unwillingness to let death steal away the one she loved. With a magic that came from the deepest parts of her soul, she brought Osiris back to life, if only for a moment, enough to give him the chance to father their son, Horus. In that moment, her magic intertwined with the force of life itself, creating a bond that defied the natural order. Isis's magic was not just the kind that bent the laws of nature. It was the magic of protection, of nurturing, of holding close those who were most vulnerable. As the protector of the dead, she watched over the souls who passed into the afterlife, guiding them with the same care she had shown Osiris. Her wings, often depicted in art, stretched wide, sheltering the lost, the grieving, and the dead beneath them. In her embrace, there was safety, a promise that even in death, one was not alone. She was the light that led the way through the darkness, a mother to all who sought her protection. Her role as the great mother goddess extended beyond the underworld, for she was also the mother of Horus, the falcon-headed god who would one day challenge Seth and restore balance to the world. Isis's love for Horus was fierce and unyielding. From the moment he was born, she shielded him from Seth's relentless hatred. She hid him away in the marshes, protecting him from harm, raising him in secret, always vigilant, always watching. She knew that one day, her son would grow into the god he was destined to be, the one who would stand against the forces of chaos and reclaim his father's throne. Isis's role as both mother and protector shaped Horus into the god he became. She was his guide, his teacher, and his shield. In her, Horus found not just a mother, but a source of wisdom and strength. She taught him not only how to fight but how to rule with justice and compassion. It was through her nurturing that Horus grew into a god capable of confronting the darkness that had taken his father. Every victory Horus achieved, every step he took towards restoring order to the world, was a reflection of Isis's love and sacrifice. But Isis's power was not limited to her role as a mother or wife. Her magic reached far beyond, touching all corners of the earth and sky. She was called upon in moments of desperation and times when all hope seemed lost. Her worshippers prayed to her for healing, for protection, and for guidance through the most difficult of times. It was believed that she could heal the sick, calm the stormy seas, and even bring the dead back to life. Her name was spoken with reverence and love, for she was the goddess who listened, who cared, who never turned her back on those who needed her. Even in the face of overwhelming grief, Isis remained unbroken. Her strength was not the kind that came from power or authority. It was the quiet, unshakable strength of a mother's love, the kind that endures through pain, loss, and suffering. When Osiris was lost to her, she did not collapse under the weight of her sorrow. Instead, she rose, using her magic and her heart to piece him back together, to restore what had been torn apart. And in doing so, she gave the world hope. Her actions showed that even in the face of the greatest darkness, there is a way forward, a path through the pain. Her relationship with Osiris was a love story for the ages, but it was also a story of resilience, of fighting for what is most precious. Isis's love for Osiris was not just about romance, it was about the enduring power of loyalty and devotion. She stood beside him in life, and when death came for him, she followed, not as a shadow, but as a force strong enough to pull him back from the abyss. Her magic, born from this love, became a beacon, a reminder that even death cannot conquer those who are held in the heart. In her, the Egyptians saw the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect protector. She was both fierce and tender, both a healer and a warrior. Her love stretched across the boundaries of life and death, and her magic held the world together when it seemed it might fall apart. To call on Isis was to call on the power of love itself, the one force that could never be broken. And so, Isis became more than just a goddess. She became a symbol of the enduring power of love, of the strength that lies within all of us to protect, to heal, and to rise, no matter how many times we are broken. Her magic was not in the spells she cast or the gods she commanded, it was in her heart, in the love that held the world together, even when it seemed all might be lost. In the stillness of dawn, when the sky is painted with the soft hues of morning, there is a presence that stirs with the rising sun. It is Horus, the sky god, whose eyes are the sun and the moon, and whose wings stretch across the heavens. His story is one of pain and perseverance, of a son who bore the weight of his father's death and rose to avenge him. Horus was not born into peace. His life began in the shadow of betrayal and grief, yet from that darkness, he would emerge as the god of kingship and vengeance, a symbol of resilience and justice. Horus's birth was a glimmer of hope in a world shattered by Seth's cruelty. His mother, Isis, had endured unspeakable sorrow. After Seth had brutally murdered Osiris, dismembering his body and scattering it across Egypt, Isis's love and magic brought her husband back to life, if only briefly. It was in that moment of fleeting life that Horus was conceived. From his first breath, Horus carried the burden of a destiny that would shape the fate of Egypt. He was not just a son, he was the heir to a kingdom stolen, and the one who would face the god responsible for his father's death. As a child, Horus was hidden away by Isis, far from Seth's reach. The marshes where they lived were a place of refuge, but they were also a place of waiting, a liminal space between what had been lost and what was to come. Isis, ever the protector, watched over her son with fierce love, knowing that one day he would face the god who had torn their family apart. She taught him not only to survive but to grow strong, preparing him for the day when he would step out of the shadows and confront Seth. Horus's path was not easy. He was a god, but he was also a son filled with the weight of his father's death and the pain that lingered in his mother's heart. His destiny was not simply to rule but to avenge, to set right what had been broken. The battle between Horus and Seth was not just a physical fight, it was a war of wills, a clash between chaos and order, between the raw forces of destruction and the quiet, determined strength of justice. When Horus finally faced Seth, it was with the knowledge that this battle was not just his own. He fought for his father, for his mother, and for all those who had suffered under Seth's rule. The fight between them was ferocious, spanning years, as they took on various forms, Horus as a falcon, the god of the sky, and Seth as a beast, the embodiment of chaos. Their battles raged across the land and the sky, a struggle that seemed to shake the very foundations of the world. Seth, brutal and relentless, sought to crush Horus with the same cruelty he had shown Osiris. But Horus's spirit was unbreakable. With each strike, each wound, he rose again, driven by the memory of his father and the justice he sought. Horus's eye, the symbol of his power and his connection to the heavens, was torn out in one of their battles, leaving him in agony. But even blinded, even bloodied, Horus did not yield. His pain became his strength, and the loss of his eye only deepened his resolve. The eye of Horus, later healed by Thoth, became a symbol of protection and healing, a reminder that even in the face of great suffering, there is the possibility of restoration. It was more than just a physical eye, it was the embodiment of foresight, clarity, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. Horus's eye, once damaged, became a source of power, a reflection of his ability to overcome the darkest moments and emerge stronger. But the battle between Horus and Seth was not merely one of vengeance. It was about restoring balance to the world, about ensuring that justice, rather than chaos, would reign. Horus was not fighting for personal revenge, he was fighting to reclaim his father's throne, to restore the rightful order of things, and to ensure that the world did not fall into the hands of a god driven by envy and destruction. As the years of conflict drew on, the gods themselves became involved in the dispute, each taking sides. Ra, the sun god, watched the battle with concern, knowing that the outcome would shape the fate of the cosmos. In the end, it was not just brute strength that won the day, but the righteousness of Horus's cause. The gods convened in a great council to decide the fate of the throne, and it was Horus, the son of Osiris, who was declared the rightful king. His victory was not just over Seth, but over the forces of chaos itself. With Seth defeated, Horus took his place as the ruler of Egypt, the god of kingship. He was not a king born into ease or privilege, but one who had earned his throne through sacrifice, perseverance, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. His reign symbolized the triumph of order over chaos, of light over darkness. Every pharaoh who sat on the throne of Egypt was seen as the living embodiment of Horus, a continuation of his kingship and a protector of the land and its people. Horus's relationship with his father, Osiris, was more than just a bond between father and son, it was a connection that transcended life and death. In avenging Osiris, Horus did more than honor his father's memory. He ensured that Osiris's legacy would live on, not only in the Underworld, where Osiris ruled as the god of the dead, but in the world of the living, where Horus reigned as king. The bond between them was unbreakable, forged in the fires of loss and vengeance, but ultimately shaped by the love and justice that defined both their lives. Horus's story is one of resilience, of a son who faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious. He was not just a god of vengeance, he was a god of kingship, of justice, and of protection. His battles with Seth were fierce and filled with pain, but through it all, Horus remained steadfast, never losing sight of his purpose. His strength was not in his ability to fight, but in his ability to endure, to rise again after every fall, and to continue the fight for what was right. Through Horus, the people of Egypt found a protector, a ruler who would stand against the forces of chaos and ensure that justice prevailed. His kingship was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, light could still emerge. And in every pharaoh who took the throne, the spirit of Horus lived on, a testament to the god who fought for his father, his people, and the balance of the world. In the tumultuous dance of the cosmos, where chaos and order clash, one figure stands at the heart of the storm, Seth, the god of chaos. His presence is as fierce and unpredictable as the desert winds, a force that stirs both fear and awe. Seth is the embodiment of disorder, his very essence a whirlwind of storms and upheaval. His role is not simple, nor is it easily understood. He is a god of contradictions, a figure who both destroys and protects, who embodies the very chaos that can both shatter and renew. Seth's realm is one of turbulence. He is the storm that sweeps across the desert, the chaos that unsettles the stars. In his presence, order is undone, and the predictable patterns of life are thrown into disarray. His followers would have felt the tremors of his anger, seen the dark clouds that heralded his arrival. The sky darkened with his rage, and the land trembled beneath his fury. Seth was not just a god of chaos in the abstract. He was a tangible, visceral force that could be seen and felt, a living reminder of the unpredictable nature of the world. Yet, within this storm of chaos, there is a complex and often misunderstood role that Seth plays. His actions are not driven solely by malice. He is a guardian, too, protecting the sun god Ra as he travels through the underworld each night. The role of Seth as a protector is a twist of fate that is as surprising as it is vital. Without Seth, Ra's nightly journey through the darkness would be fraught with peril, threatened by the forces that seek to swallow the sun. Each night, as Ra begins his descent into the underworld, Seth takes on a role that seems at odds with his nature. He becomes the fierce guardian of Ra's solar bark, battling the serpentine beast Apophis who seeks to destroy the sun. In this strange alliance, Seth is the sword and shield, fighting off the chaos that threatens to engulf the light. It is a task that is both noble and ironic, for Seth himself is the god of chaos, yet he stands as the defender of Ra, the very symbol of cosmic order. In these nightly battles, Seth's strength is harnessed for a purpose greater than himself. His chaos is channeled into a force that preserves the balance of the universe, a reminder that even in the heart of disorder, there is a place for his power to create and protect. The storm that Seth unleashes upon Apophis is not merely destruction, it is a force that ensures the sun rises again, that the world remains in its rightful order. Seth's role is a complex one, revealing the paradox that chaos, while destructive, can also be a necessary force in the cosmic balance. This duality of Seth's nature, his ability to both destroy and defend, makes him a figure of deep intrigue. He is a god who embodies the very essence of contradiction. His presence is both feared and revered, his actions both destructive and protective. The same storms that ravage the land can also bring the rains that nourish it. The chaos that he sows can also be the force that renews and regenerates. Seth's story is intertwined with that of his brother Osiris, whose death he orchestrated with a cruelty that shook the heavens. The brutal act of killing Osiris and dismembering his body was a display of Seth's capacity for violence and chaos. It was a moment that defined him as a villain, a god whose actions were driven by jealousy and rage. Yet even in this act of brutality, there is a reflection of the complexity that defined Seth. His chaos was not without purpose, it was a catalyst for the events that would follow, setting the stage for Horus's rise and the eventual restoration of order. Seth's conflict with Horus is emblematic of the struggle between chaos and order, a battle that is as ancient as the gods themselves. Their clashes are more than just physical confrontations, they are a representation of the eternal struggle that defines the universe. Seth's attempts to seize power and Horus's quest to restore what was lost are woven into a narrative that is as much about cosmic balance as it is about personal vendettas. Through these conflicts, Seth remains a figure who is impossible to fully categorize. He is the storm that ravages the land, but also the protector who ensures the sun rises. His chaos is the force that can tear down, but also the one that can make way for new growth. His story is a reminder that the universe is not simply divided into light and dark, order and chaos, but is instead a tapestry where every thread, even the most tumultuous, has a role to play. Seth's legacy is one of complexity, a god whose role as the harbinger of chaos is inseparable from his role as a protector. He is the storm and the shield, the destruction and the defense. In every battle he fought, and every storm he unleashed, there was a deeper purpose, a reflection of the delicate balance that holds the cosmos together. His story is not just one of chaos, but of the essential role that chaos plays in the grand design of the universe. In the hushed stillness of ancient tombs, where time seems to hold its breath, one figure stands as a solemn guardian of the afterlife, Anubis. His presence is both majestic and comforting, a reminder of the sacred transition from life to eternity. Anubis, with his jackal-headed form, is more than just a deity of the dead. He is a guide through the dark, a protector of the departed souls as they make their journey to the other side. Anubis's role in funerary rituals is nothing short of profound. In the rituals of the dead, where every step is a sacred act, Anubis's influence is felt at every turn. As the god of embalming, he is intimately involved in the intricate process of preparing the deceased for their journey into the afterlife. His role is not merely one of oversight, but of deep involvement, ensuring that every detail is attended to with reverence and care. Imagine the scene, a family standing by as their loved one is gently prepared for their final journey. Anubis's priests work with delicate precision, their hands steady as they perform the rituals of mummification. Each step is a dance of respect and devotion, a series of actions meant to honor the deceased and ensure their safe passage. Anubis watches over this sacred process, his jackal head symbolizing his vigilance and his deep connection to the realm of the dead. The process of mummification is a meticulous one. The body is carefully preserved, wrapped in linen, and adorned with amulets and charms meant to protect and guide the soul. Anubis's influence is felt in every aspect of this preparation. His teachings are followed to the letter, ensuring that the body remains intact and the soul is protected. His presence is a comforting one, a reminder that the deceased is under the watchful eye of a deity who understands the significance of this final transition. In the darkened chamber of the tomb, where the air is thick with incense and the soft glow of torches, Anubis's role is not only practical but deeply symbolic. He is the god who guides the soul through the underworld, ensuring that it reaches its final resting place. His association with the afterlife is both comforting and essential. Without Anubis, the journey to the other side would be fraught with uncertainty and danger. He is the one who ensures that the soul is prepared, protected, and guided. The afterlife in ancient Egyptian belief is a realm of judgment and renewal. It is a place where the soul must prove its worth and its purity. Anubis plays a crucial role in this process. He is the one who weighs the heart of the deceased against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice. This moment of judgment is a pivotal one, determining whether the soul will be granted eternal life or cast into oblivion. Anubis's role in this judgment is both solemn and just. He oversees the weighing with a fairness that ensures every soul is treated with the dignity it deserves. Imagine the heart of the departed, heavy with the weight of a lifetime's deeds, placed on one side of the scale. On the other side rests the feather of Maat, light and pure. Anubis stands as a silent witness, his jackal eyes piercing through the darkness, his presence a steadying force. His role is to ensure that the scales balance, that justice is served, and that the soul's journey continues with honor and respect. Anubis's association with mummification is not just a practical one but a deeply spiritual process. The art of embalming is a sacred ritual, a way of honoring the body and preparing it for the afterlife. Anubis's teachings guide this process, ensuring that every action is performed with the utmost care and respect. The mummified body, carefully preserved and wrapped, is more than just a physical form. It is a vessel for the soul, a sacred vessel that will carry the deceased through the afterlife. In ancient Egyptian culture, the preparation of the dead was not just a matter of preserving the body, it was an act of love and devotion. Anubis's role in this process underscores the deep respect that the Egyptians had for their dead. Every detail, from the placement of amulets to the careful wrapping of the linen, was done with the understanding that the soul's journey was sacred and deserving of the utmost care. As the final rites are completed and the tomb is sealed, Anubis remains a symbol of the eternal watchfulness that guards the passage of souls. His presence is a promise that the journey is not one of isolation or fear but of guided transition. He stands as a reminder that, even in death, there is care, respect, and a guiding hand that ensures the soul's journey is one of honor and reverence. Anubis's role as the god of embalming and the afterlife is a profound one. His influence is felt in every aspect of the funerary rites, from the meticulous process of mummification to the solemn moments of judgment. He is the guardian of the dead, the guide through the darkness, and the protector of the soul as it embarks on its final journey. His presence brings comfort and assurance, a reminder that even in the face of death, there is care, respect, and a guiding force that ensures the journey to the afterlife is one of honor and dignity. In the silent expanse of the night sky, where the moon's silver light weaves through the darkness, Thoth stands as a beacon of wisdom and knowledge. He is the god who embodies the very essence of writing, learning, and celestial guidance. With the head of an ibis and the heart of a scholar, Thoth's presence is felt in the quiet reverence of ancient texts and the meticulous recording of knowledge. His role in the Egyptian pantheon is one of profound importance, touching every aspect of understanding and justice. Thoth's domain extends beyond the mere act of writing. He is the keeper of knowledge, the one who ensures that wisdom is preserved and passed on through the generations. In the ancient world, writing was not just a way to record information, it was a sacred act, a means of capturing the divine truth. Thoth's role as the god of writing made him essential to this process. He was believed to have invented writing itself, giving humanity the tools to document their lives, their beliefs, and their history. His sacred scribes, with their papyrus scrolls, worked under his guidance, knowing that every symbol they inscribed was a reflection of divine knowledge. Thoth's connection to the moon adds another layer to his divine role. The moon, with its changing phases, represents the cycles of time and the ebb and flow of life. As the moon god, Thoth watches over the night, his presence a constant reminder of the passage of time and the balance of the universe. His light illuminates the darkness, providing guidance and clarity in moments of uncertainty. In this way, Thoth's role as the god of the moon complements his role as the god of wisdom. He is both the keeper of knowledge and the celestial light that guides the way through the darkness. But Thoth's influence does not end with writing and the moon. His role in the judgment of the dead is a crucial part of his divine responsibilities. In the moments when souls are judged and their destinies are decided, Thoth stands as a key figure in the process. He is the scribe of the underworld, recording the results of the weighing of the heart, the critical moment when the soul's purity is measured against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice. In this solemn scene, Thoth's presence is both calming and authoritative. As the heart of the deceased is placed on one side of the scale and the feather on the other, Thoth watches with a keen and unerring eye. His role is to ensure that the judgment is recorded accurately, that the truth is preserved, and that the final decision is made with fairness. His wisdom guides the process, ensuring that every soul is judged not only for their deeds, but for the essence of their character. Thoth's involvement in the judgment of the dead is a reflection of his commitment to justice and truth. He is not just a passive observer, he is an active participant in the process, ensuring that the divine scales of justice are balanced. His role as the scribe of the gods means that he is responsible for recording the eternal fates of souls, a task that requires both great wisdom and great responsibility. As Thoth inscribes the results of the judgment, he is also a symbol of hope and renewal. The judgment of the dead was not only about assessing a soul's worth, but also about determining its place in the afterlife. For those who passed the judgment with a heart lighter than the feather of Maat, there was the promise of eternal life and peace. Thoth's role in this process is a reminder that wisdom and justice are the guiding forces that ensure that every soul receives its due, that every life is honored, and that every journey is respected. In the quiet moments of the night, under the watchful gaze of the moon, Thoth's influence is felt not just in the grand rituals of judgment, but in the everyday acts of learning and writing. His wisdom permeates every aspect of Egyptian life, from the grandest ceremonies to the simplest acts of recording. He is the god who ensures that knowledge is preserved, that justice is served, and that the light of understanding never fades. Thoth's legacy is one of profound depth and significance. He is the god who brought writing to humanity, who guided the moon across the night sky, and who played a crucial role in the judgment of the dead. His presence is a testament to the power of wisdom and the importance of justice. In every scroll, every lunar cycle, and every act of judgment, Thoth's influence is felt, a reminder of the enduring importance of knowledge and the divine balance that guides the universe. In the warm glow of the ancient Egyptian sun, Hathor shines as a beacon of love and joy, her presence a radiant blend of nurturing care and ecstatic celebration. Her beauty and grace are reflected in every note of music, every tender embrace, and every moment of life's simple pleasures. Hathor is more than a goddess. She is the embodiment of fertility, motherhood, and the joy that binds the human heart to the divine. Hathor's role as the goddess of fertility is a testament to her deep connection with the cycles of life. In the fields of Egypt, where the fertile Nile nourished the land, Hathor's blessings were sought to ensure abundant harvests and the growth of crops. Her image often adorned the granaries and fields, a divine promise of prosperity and well-being. The sight of her nurturing figure was a source of hope, a reminder that life's most vital needs were watched over by a deity who cared deeply for the earth's bounty. As the goddess of music and dance, Hathor is a symbol of joy and celebration. Her laughter echoes through the halls of the gods and the hearts of mortals, a reminder that life's pleasures are as sacred as its struggles. Festivals in her honor were times of revelry, where music and dance brought people together in shared joy. The sight of Hathor, often depicted with a sistrum in her hand, leads to the sounds of jubilant rhythms and melodies that celebrated life's beauty and diversity. Her music was more than entertainment. It was a divine gift that uplifted the spirit and united communities in harmony. Motherhood is another of Hathor's cherished aspects. As the mother goddess, she represents the nurturing and protective qualities that define the maternal bond. Her role in childbirth and early childhood is one of comfort and care, guiding new life into the world with a gentle touch. The images of Hathor, with her nurturing gaze and tender embrace, offer reassurance to those in need of her maternal protection. She is the goddess who watches over children and mothers, ensuring that the early stages of life are filled with love and support. Yet, Hathor's nature is not solely one of gentle nurture and celebration. Her role as the Eye of Ra reveals a more complex and multifaceted aspect of her divinity. As the Eye of Ra, Hathor embodies a fierce and protective side, serving as a powerful force that defends the sun god Ra from his enemies. In this role, she takes on the form of a lioness or a cow with a fierce gaze, ready to vanquish any threats that endanger the cosmic order. This duality of Hathor's nature, her ability to shift from a loving mother to a fierce protector, highlights the depth of her character and the balance she brings to the universe. When the cosmic balance is threatened, Hathor's protective instincts become paramount. As the Eye of Ra, she embodies the wrath of the sun god, unleashing her power to restore order and safeguard the divine realm. This aspect of her nature is a reminder that even the gentlest of deities have the strength to confront chaos and maintain harmony. Hathor's ability to transform from a nurturing mother to a formidable warrior underscores the complexity of her role in the divine order. In the soft light of the morning or the warm embrace of a festival, Hathor's presence is felt as a source of comfort, joy, and protection. Her dual nature as both a loving goddess and a fierce protector reveals the profound depths of her influence. She is the goddess who celebrates life's beauty and guards against its perils, a figure whose compassion and strength are intertwined in a divine dance that enriches and sustains the world. Hathor's legacy is one of love, joy, and profound care. Her influence extends from the fields of fertility to the realms of music and motherhood, touching every aspect of life with her divine grace. As the Eye of Ra, she stands as a powerful defender, ensuring that the cosmic balance is maintained and the divine order is preserved. Through her diverse roles, Hathor's presence remains a source of inspiration and comfort, a reminder of the sacred connections that bind the human and divine worlds together. In the soft glow of twilight, where shadows dance and the night comes alive with whispers, the feline goddesses Batet and Sekhmet emerge as powerful symbols of the divine. Their presence brings a blend of warmth and ferocity, showcasing the dual nature of their divine influence. These goddesses, often depicted with the grace and majesty of cats, embody contrasting aspects of life and power that are deeply intertwined with the human experience. Batet, with her gentle demeanor and nurturing spirit, reigns over the home and fertility. She is the goddess of hearth and family, her presence a comforting assurance that the domestic sphere is under her protection. In ancient Egyptian homes, her image was often placed near the hearth or in the family's living space, a symbol of her guardianship and blessings. Her feline form, with its elegance and poise, reflects the nurturing qualities she embodies. Batet is the one who ensures that the home is a place of warmth and love, a sanctuary where family bonds are strengthened and children are cherished. Her role as the goddess of fertility extends beyond the confines of the home. Bastet's influence is felt in the growth of crops and the prosperity of the land. In this capacity, she represents the cycles of life and the blessings of abundance. Her presence brings the promise of new beginnings and the joy of creation. Whether it's the birth of a child or the harvest of crops, Bastet's blessings are sought to ensure that life flourishes and thrives. She is the gentle protector of the domestic and natural realms, her touch a reminder of the importance of care and nurturing in all aspects of life. In stark contrast, Sekhmet emerges from the shadows with a power that commands respect and awe. As the goddess of war and pestilence, her feline form is a symbol of fierce strength and unyielding force. Sekhmet's role in Egyptian mythology is one of destruction and protection, her power used both to punish the wicked and to safeguard the divine order. Her eyes, burning with the intensity of a lioness, reveal a side of the divine that is both fearsome and protective. Sekhmet's destructive power is not simply a force of chaos but a necessary element of balance. When the world faced threats from within or without, it was Sekhmet's wrath that was unleashed to restore order. Her presence is a reminder that power can be both a tool of destruction and a means of safeguarding what is just. In times of plague or war, Sekhmet's power was invoked to drive away disease and ensure victory, her fierce energy a vital force in maintaining cosmic and earthly balance. The duality of Bastet and Sekhmet speaks to the complexity of the divine. While Bastet represents the nurturing and life-giving aspects of the goddess, Sekhmet embodies the fierce, protective force necessary to combat threats and maintain harmony. Their contrasting roles highlight the multifaceted nature of divinity, where compassion and strength coexist in a delicate balance. The feline form of these goddesses, whether the playful elegance of Bastet or the fierce majesty of Sekhmet, reflects the diverse ways in which the divine interacts with the world. In the quiet moments of peace and the storms of conflict, both Bastet and Sekhmet play their parts in the grand tapestry of existence. Bastet's warmth brings comfort to the home and the promise of growth and fertility. Sekhmet's power, though fearsome, is a necessary force to ensure that justice and order are maintained. Together, they represent the full spectrum of divine influence, from the tender care of the nurturing goddess to the powerful protection of the warrior deity. The legacy of Bastet and Sekhmet endures as a testament to the complexity and richness of the divine. Their stories are a reminder that the divine is not a single, uniform force but a collection of powerful, multifaceted beings who influence every aspect of life. Their presence in mythology serves as a profound reflection of the balance between creation and destruction, nurturing and protecting, and the ways in which these forces shape the world and the lives within it. In the heart of ancient Egypt, where the towering structures of a great civilization rise from the desert sands, there exists a divine figure whose presence echoes through every crafted stone and every masterpiece of architecture. Ptah, the Creator God, is the essence of artistic and architectural genius, a deity whose influence shaped the very foundation of Egyptian culture. Ptah is the patron of craftsmen and architects, revered for his mastery in the arts of creation. He is the divine artisan, the god who breathes life into the raw materials of the world. To the ancient Egyptians, Ptah was not just a god but a symbol of creativity and craftsmanship. His influence is seen in the magnificent temples, the intricate jewelry, and the stunning sculptures that define the splendor of Egyptian art. Every chisel stroke and every carving was believed to be guided by Ptah's divine hand, infusing the work with sacred significance and eternal beauty. His role extends far beyond mere craftsmanship. Ptah is closely associated with Memphis, one of ancient Egypt's most important cities. Memphis was not only a center of political and economic power, but also a place where Ptah's influence was profoundly felt. The city itself was considered to be under his divine protection, and many of its grand structures and monuments were dedicated to him. The craftsmen and architects of Memphis would often invoke Ptah's blessings before starting their work, seeking his guidance and favor to ensure that their creations would stand the test of time. In the grand tapestry of Egyptian creation myths, Ptah holds a special place. He is often depicted as the god who created the world through the power of his speech and thought. According to legend, Ptah conceived the universe in his mind and then spoke it into existence, his words shaping the cosmos and setting the order of creation into motion. This act of divine creation is a testament to Ptah's role as the ultimate architect of the world. His ability to bring forth reality from thought is a powerful symbol of the creative process, where imagination and skill combine to form the tangible world. Ptah's role as the creator god also extends to his association with the concept of divine craftsmanship. He is often depicted holding a scribe's palette and a measuring rod, symbols of his control over the arts and architecture. These symbols represent not only his role in creating the world, but also his involvement in the meticulous details of construction and design. Ptah's influence is seen in every aspect of Egyptian culture where precision and artistry converge, from the grandiose temples to the intricate amulets that adorned the lives of the people. The stories of Ptah also emphasize his role in guiding and inspiring the artisans and builders of ancient Egypt. He was seen as a divine mentor, providing the skills and knowledge necessary to create works of unparalleled beauty and significance. The connection between Ptah and his worshippers was one of mutual respect and reverence, with craftsmen and architects offering their finest work as a tribute to the god who inspired them. In the quiet moments of reflection, as the sun sets over the ancient pyramids and the first stars appear in the twilight sky, Ptah's legacy is ever present. His influence is etched into the very stones of Egypt, a testament to the enduring power of creativity and craftsmanship. Each masterpiece, whether it be a colossal statue or a delicate piece of jewelry, carries the mark of Ptah's divine inspiration. His role as the creator god is a reminder of the sacred connection between the divine and the material world, where every act of creation is both an artistic endeavor and a spiritual tribute. The reverence for Ptah extends beyond the boundaries of the ancient world, reaching into the modern understanding of art and creation. His story is a celebration of the power of imagination and the importance of skill in shaping the world. Ptah's influence is a reminder that every work of art, every architectural wonder, and every crafted object carries with it a piece of the divine, a reflection of the creativity that lies at the heart of existence. Through Ptah, the ancient Egyptians honored not just the physical acts of creation but the very essence of creativity itself. His presence in their lives was a source of inspiration and a symbol of the divine craftsmanship that shaped their world. As the god who brought order and beauty to the universe, Ptah remains a powerful reminder of the sacred nature of creation and the profound impact of artistic and architectural excellence. The story of Osiris is one of the most powerful and enduring myths in Egyptian mythology, capturing the essence of life, death, and resurrection. It begins in a world of divine splendor and human intrigue, where the fate of gods and mortals alike hangs in the balance. Osiris, the god of the afterlife and resurrection, was once a beloved ruler of Egypt. His reign was marked by peace and prosperity, and his people adored him. But this harmony was shattered by jealousy and betrayal. Seth, Osiris's own brother, was consumed by envy. He coveted Osiris's throne and coveted his power, plotting a dark scheme to seize control. The story takes a tragic turn during a grand feast when Seth presents a beautifully crafted coffin, promising it as a gift. With cunning precision, he measures the guests, and Osiris, intrigued and unsuspecting, tries the coffin on for size. The moment Osiris lies down, Seth's followers seal the coffin shut and throw it into the Nile. The coffin, carrying Osiris, drifts away and eventually ends up in the sea, where it is swallowed by a fish. The impact of Osiris's death is profound. Isis, Osiris's devoted wife and sister, is heartbroken. Her love for Osiris drives her to embark on a perilous quest to recover his body. She searches tirelessly, enduring great hardships and challenges. Her determination and devotion are rewarded when she discovers the coffin in Byblos, a distant land, and brings it back to Egypt. However, Seth's treachery doesn't end with the murder. Upon discovering Osiris's return, he desecrates the body, tearing it into 14 pieces and scattering them across the land. Isis, with her unyielding love and grief, painstakingly searches for each fragment. With the help of her magical powers and her sister Nephthys, she recovers and reassembles Osiris's body, performing the necessary rites to bring him back to life. Osiris's resurrection is a profound and symbolic event. Though he returns from the dead, he does not resume his former life. Instead, he becomes the ruler of the underworld, overseeing the realm of the dead. His journey from death to the afterlife transforms him into a powerful symbol of eternal life and the hope of resurrection. He is no longer a mere god of fertility and kingship, but the eternal judge who ensures that justice is maintained beyond the grave. The rivalry between Osiris and Seth extends beyond the initial betrayal. Seth's actions are driven by a complex mix of envy and ambition, while Osiris's resurrection reaffirms his divine authority. The conflict between these two deities reflects the eternal struggle between order and chaos, life and death. Seth's role as the god of chaos and destruction stands in stark contrast to Osiris's role as the god of resurrection and justice. Isis's role in this myth is central. Her love and determination not only restore Osiris but also cement her place as a powerful deity in her own right. She embodies the ideal of steadfast love and resilience, her actions ensuring that Osiris's legacy endures and that his influence continues to guide and protect those who honor him. The myth of Osiris, with its rich tapestry of love, betrayal, and ultimate redemption, resonates deeply. It captures the human experience of loss and hope, reflecting the belief that even in the darkest moments, there is the possibility of renewal and rebirth. The story underscores the transformative power of love and the enduring struggle for justice, themes that continue to touch the hearts of those who hear the tale. In the heart of ancient Egypt, the stage is set for one of the most dramatic and intense battles ever told. This is the story of the fierce struggle between Horus and Set, a conflict that shakes the very foundations of the divine and human worlds. It is a tale of revenge, honor, and the relentless quest for justice. Horus, the falcon-headed god, is the son of Osiris and Isis. Born out of love and loss, Horus is determined to avenge his father's death and reclaim the throne of Egypt that was wrongfully seized by Seth. Seth, the god of chaos and destruction, had taken advantage of Osiris's murder to usurp the throne, casting a shadow of disorder over the land. The clash between Horus and Seth is not just a personal vendetta but a cosmic struggle that pits order against chaos, rightful claim against usurped power. The battle for the throne is not just fought with weapons, but through a series of divine contests and trials. These contests are held before a divine tribunal, a court of gods who will judge the rightful ruler of Egypt. The stakes are incredibly high. Whoever wins will not only claim the throne but restore or continue the balance of order and chaos in the world. The conflict between Horus and Seth is marked by fierce and dramatic encounters. One of the most memorable confrontations involves a grand battle where Horus and Seth fight in the form of animals. They transform into powerful creatures, battling each other with every ounce of their divine strength. Their struggle is fierce and relentless, a true test of their powers and their right to rule. The land itself seems to echo their conflict, with the heavens and the earth trembling as they clash. The gods watch closely, their eyes reflecting the gravity of the battle. The divine tribunal, which includes gods such as Ra and Thoth, oversees the contests. They are the arbiters of truth and justice, ensuring that the battle is fought fairly and that the outcome will honor the divine order. Each trial is a test of not just physical strength, but of wisdom, strategy, and divine right. In one trial, Horus and Seth are challenged to a race across the Nile, where Horus cunningly uses his wits to gain an advantage. In another, they are tested in a boat race, where Seth's ferocity is matched by Horus's cleverness and determination. The contests are designed to reveal not just the might of the gods, but their true nature and their worthiness to rule. Throughout the struggle, Horus remains steadfast and determined. His resolve is driven by his father's memory and his mother's unwavering support. His quest is not just for personal vengeance, but for the restoration of justice and balance in the land of Egypt. Each victory in the contests brings him one step closer to fulfilling his destiny. Seth, on the other hand, is a formidable opponent. His power and cunning are matched by his ruthlessness. He fights not just for the throne but to maintain the chaos and disorder he thrives on. His refusal to back down and his willingness to go to great lengths to secure his position make him a fearsome adversary. The trials and battles culminate in a dramatic final showdown. The tension is palpable as the divine tribunal prepares to render its judgment. The outcome of this final contest will determine the future of Egypt and the balance between order and chaos. Horus's victory in this ultimate trial is not just a personal triumph, but a moment of profound significance for the entire world. The victory of Horus is a moment of immense relief and joy. It marks the restoration of order and the beginning of a new era of stability and prosperity. Horus's triumph is not just a personal victory but a vindication of justice and rightful rule. The gods and the people of Egypt celebrate this new dawn, hopeful for the future that Horus's reign promises. The story of Horus and Set is a powerful reminder of the enduring struggle between order and chaos, justice and injustice. It is a tale that resonates deeply, capturing the essence of divine and human conflicts and the quest for what is right. The epic struggle of Horus and Set remains a testament to the strength and determination required to overcome the darkest of adversities and to restore balance to a world in turmoil. In a world where gods walked among mortals and every action could tip the balance of existence, Ra, the mighty sun god, found himself driven to a breaking point. The tale of Ra's wrath and the near destruction of mankind unfolds as a dramatic saga of divine fury and the power of mercy. Ra, the supreme deity and ruler of the sun, had long been the protector of humanity. His daily journey across the sky was not just a celestial routine but a symbol of his care and oversight. However, the humans he cherished began to drift away from the paths of righteousness. Their hearts grew cold, their actions cruel, and their respect for the gods diminished. Ra watched in growing despair as humanity's once noble spirit became tainted with wickedness and disbelief. Anger swelled within Ra, a force as intense as the heat of the sun itself. He decided that drastic measures were needed to bring humanity back to its senses. His divine judgment was swift and severe. He called upon Sekhmet, the fierce goddess of war and destruction, to deliver a punishment that would make humanity pay for its transgressions. Sekhmet, with her lioness head and a heart as fierce as the desert sun, unleashed her wrath upon the earth. Her eyes burned with the fury of Ra's anger as she swept through the land, her very presence causing fear and despair. The sky darkened as her destructive power manifested in a wave of terror. People fled in panic as Sekhmet's roars echoed through the cities, bringing death and chaos wherever she went. Her wrath was so overwhelming that it seemed like the world itself might be consumed in her fiery rage. The destruction wrought by Sekhmet was immense. Rivers ran red with the blood of those caught in her path, and the land was scorched by the heat of her anger. The once vibrant and thriving world now lay in ruins, a shadow of its former self. The cries of the people reached the heavens, pleading for mercy, but the goddess's fury was relentless. Yet, amidst the devastation, a glimmer of hope flickered. Hathor, the goddess of love, joy, and motherhood, heard the cries of the suffering and the anguished pleas of humanity. Hathor's heart was filled with compassion, and she could not stand to see the world she loved being destroyed. Her deep connection to life and her role as the nurturing and protective goddess made her the only one who could intervene. Hathor approached Ra with a heavy heart, her voice filled with desperation and empathy. She begged him to reconsider the destruction that was unfolding. "Please," she implored, "look at what has become of your beloved creation. The bloodshed is more than they can bear. There must be another way to guide them back to the right path." Ra, moved by Hathor's compassion and the sight of the devastation wrought by Sekhmet, felt a pang of remorse. His divine wrath had been unyielding, but Hathor's plea stirred a flicker of doubt in his heart. He realized that the destruction had reached a point where it threatened not only the wicked but also the innocent and the helpless. Hathor's intervention was both timely and crucial. She used her own divine powers to reach Sekhmet, speaking with her in a voice filled with both authority and tenderness. Hathor implored Sekhmet to cease her rampage and to help restore balance. With a gentle but firm touch, Hathor managed to calm Sekhmet's rage. The goddess of destruction was slowly subdued, her anger dimming as Hathor's soothing presence took hold. Hathor's compassion transformed the course of the divine intervention. She provided a solution that would allow humanity a chance at redemption without complete annihilation. She guided Ra to see the potential for renewal and transformation in humanity rather than complete obliteration. Ra, now deeply moved by Hathor's unwavering compassion and the visible signs of repentance among some of the people, agreed to halt the destruction. The skies began to clear, and the land, though scarred, started to heal. Hathor's intervention had a profound impact, not only saving lives, but also reminding Ra of the enduring possibility for change and redemption. The story of Ra's wrath and Hathor's mercy serves as a powerful reminder of the delicate balance between justice and compassion. It illustrates how even in the darkest moments, the light of understanding and love can bring about a profound transformation. Hathor's role as the mediator and protector highlights the strength of empathy and the crucial role it plays in guiding and redeeming even the most troubled hearts. Every night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ra began his descent into the Egyptian underworld, known as Duat. This journey was far from peaceful. It was a perilous voyage fraught with danger and trials, reflecting the eternal struggle between order and chaos. Ra's nightly journey through Duat was a celestial battle against the forces of darkness. As the god of the sun, Ra was not only the bringer of light and warmth, but also the guardian of cosmic order. Each evening, his solar bark, a magnificent celestial boat, carried him through the shadowy realm beneath the earth. This was no simple passage. It was a quest filled with challenges that tested his strength, wisdom, and resolve. Duat was a place of mystery and terror. It was a realm where the sun god had to navigate through dark waters and treacherous landscapes. The underworld was a labyrinth of shifting paths, surrounded by the cold embrace of eternal night. Here, Ra faced the most formidable of adversaries, Apep, the Serpent of Chaos. Apep, also known as Apophis, was a monstrous serpent whose very existence was a blight on the order of the universe. His essence was pure chaos, and his purpose was to disrupt Ra's journey, hoping to prevent the sun from rising again. Apep's enormous coils and venomous fangs symbolized the primal forces of disorder that sought to plunge the world into darkness. As Ra's boat moved through Duat, the serpent lay in wait. Each night, the battle between Ra and Apep was fierce and relentless. Apep would strike from the darkness, trying to ensnare Ra's bark with his writhing coils. The serpent's attacks were sudden and violent, aiming to drag Ra into the abyss of chaos and prevent him from completing his journey. Ra, with his divine power and unyielding resolve, fought back fiercely. His crew of gods and goddesses, including warriors like Horus and mighty deities such as Thoth, assisted in the defense. They wielded magical spells and divine weapons to ward off Apep's assaults. The clash between Ra and Apep was a spectacle of light against shadow, order against chaos. Every strike of Ra's sun disk and every counterattack was a testament to the struggle for balance and harmony in the cosmos. The battle was not just physical but also symbolic. Each night, Ra's confrontation with Apep represented the struggle between light and darkness, order and chaos, good and evil. The outcome of these nightly skirmishes had profound implications. If Apep succeeded in overpowering Ra, the world would be plunged into an endless night, a fate feared by gods and mortals alike. Yet, every dawn, Ra would emerge victorious, his sun disk rising above the horizon, dispelling the darkness of Duat. The sunrise was a divine victory, a moment when the forces of order triumphed over chaos. This daily renewal was not only a physical act, but also a cosmic affirmation of balance and harmony. Ra's nightly journey through the underworld was more than a battle, it was a ritual of rebirth and renewal. Each sunrise marked a new beginning, a reminder of the resilience of the divine and the eternal struggle to maintain cosmic order. The story of Ra's voyage through Duat and his battles with Apep is a powerful reflection of the ceaseless fight against the forces that threaten to unravel the fabric of existence. The emotional weight of this journey is profound. It's a tale of courage and persistence, of a divine being who faces immense odds night after night, knowing that the fate of the world rests upon his shoulders. Ra's struggle against Apep is a reminder of the sacrifices and struggles required to preserve the light and maintain the balance of the universe. In the heart of ancient Egyptian belief, there lies a book so profound it was considered the key to the afterlife. This sacred text, known as the Book of the Dead, was not merely a collection of spells but a guide to navigating the treacherous journey after death. The book was believed to be a vital companion for the soul, offering protection and guidance as it faced the many challenges of the afterlife. Picture a world where death was not an end but a transition to another realm, filled with both hope and peril. The Book of the Dead was crafted to ensure that the deceased would find their way through this daunting landscape and secure a place among the eternal. Each page was imbued with powerful spells and charms designed to help the soul overcome obstacles and gain favor with the gods. At the heart of the Book of the Dead was a central ritual, the weighing of the heart. This ceremony was not just a symbolic gesture but a critical moment in the journey of the soul. The deceased's heart, believed to be the seat of truth and morality, was weighed against the feather of Maat, the goddess of truth and justice. This feather represented the divine order and balance of the universe. As the scales were balanced, the outcome determined the fate of the soul. If the heart was light and pure, it meant the individual had lived a virtuous life, and they could proceed to the afterlife with the gods. Their soul would be granted eternal peace in the fields of Aru, a paradise of everlasting bliss. But if the heart was heavy with sin, it would tip the scales, and the soul would face dire consequences. The heart would be devoured by Ammit, a fearsome demon with the head of a crocodile, the front of a lion, and the back of a hippopotamus. This monstrous creature represented the ultimate destruction, and being consumed by her was a fate dreaded by all. The Book of the Dead was filled with a myriad of spells and charms intended to guide the soul through this judgment. These spells were like a roadmap, each one offering protection from the dangers of the underworld. They were inscribed on papyrus scrolls and placed with the deceased in their tombs, ensuring that their spirit had everything needed to succeed in the afterlife. One of the most touching aspects of the book was the charm for opening the mouth. This spell was not just a ritual, it was believed to restore the deceased's ability to speak, breathe, and see in the afterlife. It symbolized the rebirth of the soul into a new existence, granting them the freedom to enjoy the pleasures of eternity. Another powerful spell was the hymn to the sun god, which called upon Ra to protect the soul and ensure its safe passage through the dangers of the night. The hymn was a heartfelt plea for divine intervention and was recited with the utmost reverence, reflecting the deep faith in Ra's eternal light and guidance. The Book of the Dead also included incantations to help the soul navigate the perilous journey through Duat, the Underworld. The spells provided protection against hostile deities, offered guidance through dark and dangerous regions, and ensured the soul could overcome any trial that lay ahead. As you read through the pages of the Book of the Dead, the devotion and care of those who prepared these texts become evident. They were crafted with the hope that every word, every spell, would offer comfort and assurance to the soul's journey. The book was more than a collection of ancient rites, it was a testament to the enduring belief in life beyond death and the profound desire to secure a peaceful and eternal existence for loved ones. Each spell and charm was a beacon of hope in the face of uncertainty, a lifeline in the dark expanse of the afterlife. The Book of the Dead was a profound expression of the Egyptian belief in the continuity of life and the enduring power of love and devotion, reaching beyond the grave to ensure that the journey into eternity was as safe and serene as possible. In ancient Egyptian belief, the soul was a multifaceted essence, composed of several distinct parts, each with its own role in the journey through life and beyond. The Egyptians understood the soul as a complex entity, with each part influencing how one experienced the afterlife. The three main aspects of the soul were the Ba, Ka, and Ak, and they each played a crucial role in the eternal existence that awaited after death. The Ba was often depicted as a bird with a human head, symbolizing its ability to leave the tomb and travel freely. It represented the individual's personality, memories, and unique traits that defined who they were. After death, the Ba was believed to continue its existence, fluttering between the world of the living and the afterlife. This part of the soul retained the essence of one's identity, allowing the deceased to interact with both the living and the divine. The Ba's journey was not always easy. It needed to be nourished by offerings from the living to ensure its comfort and continued presence. The Ka was another vital part of the soul, often represented as a double of the person. Unlike the Ba, the Ka was more closely tied to the physical body and was seen as the life force or vital essence. It was the Ka that required sustenance through offerings of food and drink. Without these offerings, the Ka could suffer, and this was why it was so important for family members to perform rituals and provide gifts to the deceased. The Ka was also believed to be linked to the concept of immortality. For the Ka to remain active and healthy, the physical body needed to be preserved, which is why mummification was such an important practice in ancient Egypt. The Ka's role was to maintain the continuity of life, even in death, ensuring that the soul could thrive in the afterlife. The Akh was perhaps the most mystical of the three aspects. It represented the transformed and glorified part of the soul after successful navigation through the trials of the underworld. The Akh was the soul's divine aspect, a luminous, ethereal presence that achieved union with the gods. It was considered the most exalted form of the soul, attaining a state of enlightenment and eternal bliss. To become an Akh, the soul had to pass the judgment in the afterlife, ensuring that it had lived a life of virtue and balance. Once transformed into an Akh, the soul could dwell among the gods, enjoying eternal happiness and peace. The interplay between the Ba, Ka, and Akh was a delicate balance that reflected the Egyptian view of the soul's journey. The Ba and Ka needed to be cared for through rituals and offerings to ensure that they did not falter. The success of these rituals determined whether the soul could achieve the status of the Akh. The Egyptians' meticulous attention to these aspects of the soul highlights their deep-seated belief in the importance of maintaining harmony between the earthly and divine aspects of existence. As you ponder the ancient Egyptians' view of the soul, it becomes clear that their understanding was deeply intertwined with their practices and beliefs about the afterlife. They envisioned the soul not as a single entity but as a collection of parts, each with a specific function and role in achieving eternal life. This belief system underscores the profound respect they held for the journey after death and the care taken to ensure that every aspect of the soul was nurtured and preserved. The Ba, Ka, and Akh were not just abstract concepts but vital elements of a belief system that sought to ensure the continued existence and well-being of the soul beyond the confines of mortal life. In the ancient world of Egypt, mummification was not just a method of preserving the dead, it was a sacred ritual, a profound act of devotion to ensure that the soul's journey into the afterlife was as smooth and honored as possible. The process was a deep and spiritual commitment, reflecting the Egyptians' profound beliefs about life, death, and eternity. The ceremony of mummification began with the careful and respectful treatment of the body. Skilled embalmers would perform the ritual with great care, understanding that the way the body was prepared had a direct impact on the soul's fate. The first step involved removing internal organs, which were believed to be the primary source of decay. These organs were carefully preserved in canopic jars, each one guarded by a protective deity, ensuring that nothing would hinder the soul's journey. The body was then treated with natron, a natural salt, which absorbed moisture and prevented decomposition. The process was meticulous, taking up to 70 days to complete. During this time, the body was dried and wrapped in layers of linen, each fold of which was imbued with prayers and spells meant to protect the deceased in their travels through the afterlife. As the body was wrapped, amulets and charms were placed among the layers of linen. These talismans were not mere decorations, but powerful symbols designed to offer protection and aid the deceased in overcoming the dangers they might encounter on their journey. Each amulet had a specific purpose, from ensuring safe passage to warding off malevolent spirits. The wrapping of the body was a solemn act performed with great reverence. The embalmers, who were considered both priests and craftsmen, recited prayers and performed rituals to bless the deceased and invoke the favor of the gods. These rituals were integral to the process, ensuring that the body was not only preserved but also spiritually fortified. Once the body was fully wrapped, it was placed in a coffin, which was often richly decorated with scenes from the Book of the Dead and images of gods meant to guide and protect the soul. The coffin was then placed in a tomb, which was designed to be a final resting place filled with everything the deceased might need in the afterlife. This could include food, drink, clothing, and other personal items, all intended to provide comfort and sustenance in the world beyond. Funeral rites were a pivotal part of the mummification process, marking the transition from life to death. These rites were elaborate ceremonies that involved family, priests, and sometimes even entire communities. The rituals were performed with a deep sense of duty and devotion, reflecting the belief that how the dead were treated had a direct impact on their ability to reach the afterlife and achieve eternal peace. One of the most important rites was the opening of the mouth ceremony. This ritual was performed to restore the deceased's senses and ensure they could eat, drink, and speak in the afterlife. It was a symbolic act, meant to prepare the soul for its new existence. This ceremony was performed with great care, as it was believed that the success of the ritual would influence the deceased's comfort and ability to interact with the divine. The funeral procession was a solemn affair, filled with chants and hymns. The body, now carefully prepared and wrapped, was carried to the tomb with much ceremony. Family members would often lead the procession, mourning and expressing their grief, but also celebrating the deceased's life and the hope of their continued existence in the afterlife. Once the body was placed in the tomb, the final rites were performed, including the sealing of the tomb to ensure the safety and sanctity of the resting place. Offerings were made, and prayers were said, invoking the favor of the gods and ensuring that the deceased would be well cared for in the world beyond. The religious significance of mummification and burial practices was profound. They were not merely about preserving the body, but about ensuring that the soul would have everything it needed for its journey into eternity. Each step, from the embalming to the funeral rites, was imbued with spiritual meaning and a deep respect for the deceased. The care and devotion invested in these practices reflected the ancient Egyptians' profound belief in life after death and their desire to honor and protect the soul as it embarked on its eternal journey. In the quiet, sacred space of the afterlife, where the veil between the living and the dead thins, one of the most profound moments unfolds, the judgment of the dead. This ceremony, a pivotal event in the journey of every Egyptian soul, is not merely a passage but a deeply emotional and spiritual reckoning. Here, the soul stands before the gods, facing the ultimate test of its life's worth. At the heart of this ancient rite is the dramatic and intense ceremony of the weighing of the heart. The scene is set in the Grand Hall of Judgment, where the gods are assembled to witness this solemn event. Osiris, the god of the underworld and the afterlife, presides over the judgment with a sense of divine gravity. His presence is both comforting and awe-inspiring, for he embodies the hope of eternal life or the dread of annihilation. The soul, having journeyed through the trials of the afterlife, is now brought to the judgment chamber. Anubis, the god of embalming and the protector of graves, takes charge of this crucial moment. With the meticulous care of a skilled craftsman, Anubis places the soul's heart on one side of a great scale. This heart is not just a physical organ but a symbol of the soul's essence, its deeds, and its character. On the other side of the scale is a feather, the feather of Maat. Maat, the goddess of truth and justice, stands as the embodiment of order and harmony in the universe. Her feather represents her ideals of truth, balance, and justice. It is a delicate but powerful symbol, weighing the soul's worth against the universal principles of righteousness. The atmosphere is charged with tension and hope. The heart, heavy with the memories of a lifetime, is weighed with a sense of vulnerability. The soul's entire existence, its choices, its actions, its moral character, is reflected in this moment. If the heart balances with the feather, it signifies a life lived in accordance with Maat's principles. The soul is deemed worthy and is granted passage to the blessed fields of Aru, a paradise where it will find eternal peace and happiness. However, if the heart tips the scale, it signifies a life fraught with deceit, malice, or injustice. The consequences are grave. The heart, now found wanting, faces the dreadful fate of being devoured by Ammit, the fearsome creature with the head of a crocodile, the body of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus. This beast represents the ultimate punishment, a soul consumed and erased from existence, condemned to oblivion. The judgment is a poignant moment, reflecting the deep spiritual and ethical concerns of ancient Egyptian society. It is not just about determining an individual's fate, but about upholding the very essence of cosmic order. Maat's feather, ever delicate, stands as the unwavering measure of truth, while Anubis's role as the guardian ensures that the process is fair and accurate. The ceremony holds a profound emotional weight for the soul being judged and for those who may have prayed and hoped for the deceased's favorable outcome. It embodies the ancient Egyptians' belief in a just and moral universe where every action has consequences and where the afterlife is a reflection of the life lived. This moment of judgment is the culmination of a lifetime's worth of actions and decisions, a final reflection on the person's journey. It is a moment both awe-inspiring and terrifying, filled with hope and fear, reflecting the ancient Egyptians' deep belief in the moral order of the universe and their desire for eternal peace. As twilight falls and shadows stretch across the land, the soul begins its passage into the mysterious realm of the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. This journey is not just a transition but an odyssey through a world both wondrous and daunting, reflecting the deep spiritual beliefs of ancient Egypt. The Duat is a vast, enigmatic realm, a shadowy mirror of the world above, but turned dark and twisted. It is a place where the very fabric of existence seems to shift and churn, where landscapes of shadow and flame intermingle. Here, the soul encounters both wonders and terrors, reflecting the intricate balance of ancient Egyptian beliefs about life and death. The geography of the Duat is a labyrinth of obstacles and challenges. It is described as a vast, dark expanse filled with rivers of fire and fields of ice, inhabited by strange and fearsome creatures. The soul must navigate this realm with great care. The landscape is not just a physical journey but a spiritual trial, each obstacle representing a moral and spiritual challenge that reflects the soul's purity and worthiness. One of the key features of the Duat is the River of Darkness, a swirling, inky abyss that the soul must cross. This river is not just a physical barrier but a symbol of the soul's journey through uncertainty and fear. The soul must find the courage to face its deepest anxieties, a reflection of the internal struggles everyone faces in the quest for redemption and peace. The soul's journey through the Duat is also marked by encounters with various deities and guardians. These divine beings, both benign and formidable, play a crucial role in guiding or hindering the soul's progress. Among them are fierce serpents and mythical creatures, each presenting a challenge that tests the soul's virtue and resolve. The soul's passage through the Duat is more than a mere traversal of a dark landscape, it is a profound spiritual test. The challenges and trials faced here are reflections of the soul's earthly life, its choices, and its character. Each trial is a step toward purification, a moment of reflection and reckoning that prepares the soul for the ultimate judgment. At the heart of the Duat lies the realm of Osiris, the god of the underworld. Here, in this shadowy sanctum, the soul must face its final test, the judgment of Osiris. It is in this sacred place that the soul's deeds are weighed, and its fate decided. The journey to Osiris is both a physical and spiritual ascent, a passage through trials that test the soul's readiness for eternal rest. The Duat is also a place of transformation. As the soul navigates through its dark corridors and over treacherous terrains, it undergoes a process of spiritual purification. Each challenge faced and overcome is a step toward shedding the burdens of earthly sins and preparing for the afterlife. This process is both harrowing and transformative, reflecting the deep belief in rebirth and renewal that permeates ancient Egyptian thought. In the end, the soul's journey through the Duat is a profound reflection of its life and choices. It is a path filled with trials that test not only the soul's endurance but also its moral and spiritual worth. The landscape of the Duat, with its dark rivers and fierce guardians, is a mirror of the soul's inner journey, a dramatic and moving testament to the ancient Egyptians' beliefs about life, death, and the eternal quest for balance and harmony. At the heart of ancient Egyptian belief lay a dream of peace and fulfillment, a vision of eternal life in the field of reeds. This idyllic afterlife, a land of lush fields and gentle waters, was more than just a paradise, it was the ultimate reward for a life lived in harmony with the gods and the natural order. The field of reeds was not simply a place of rest, but a manifestation of the purest aspirations of the soul. In this paradise, the landscape stretched out like a serene painting, where the green fields were endless and the sky always clear. Imagine a place where every blade of grass is vibrant and every river glistens with the promise of everlasting joy. Here, the deceased could walk among abundant crops and gentle streams, surrounded by the beauty of nature in its most perfect form. It was an echo of the fertile lands of Egypt itself, only now transformed into a place of eternal peace and contentment. To reach this blessed haven, the deceased had to prove their worth through a journey filled with trials and judgments. It was not simply a matter of crossing into the field of reeds, it was about demonstrating that their life had been lived with virtue and respect for the cosmic balance. The journey to this afterlife was marked by a series of rites and tests, each one reflecting the soul's ability to live in accordance with Ma'at, the goddess of truth and order. The process began with the weighing of the heart, a crucial moment where the soul's deeds were measured against the feather of Ma'at. A heart that balanced perfectly with the feather was deemed pure and just, ready to enter the field of reeds. But if the heart was found wanting, it faced a grim fate, devoured by the monstrous Ammit. This was not merely a punishment but a profound moment of reckoning, ensuring that only those who had lived righteous lives could enjoy the eternal bliss of the field. Once deemed worthy, the soul was greeted by familiar deities and ancestors who welcomed them to their eternal home. In the field of reeds, the soul found a life that mirrored the very best of their earthly existence, but in a state of eternal perfection. Families reunited, friends were welcomed back, and the soul could enjoy the pleasures of life without the constraints and hardships that defined their mortal existence. The field of reeds was a land of fulfillment where every need was met effortlessly. The deceased could farm the fertile fields, hunt and fish in the abundant waters, and live in peace, free from the toils and troubles of earthly life. It was a place where joy was eternal and every moment was a reflection of the highest ideals of balance and happiness. This paradise was also a place of ongoing personal growth. Even in the afterlife, the soul had the opportunity to continue learning and evolving. The field of reeds was not just a static paradise but a dynamic realm where the deceased could engage in activities that brought joy and satisfaction, always in harmony with the divine order. Entering the field of reeds was the ultimate expression of divine favor, a sign that the soul had achieved a state of perfect balance and virtue. It was a promise of eternal happiness and a testament to the ancient Egyptians' belief in the possibility of a life that transcends the mortal realm, where the soul could rest and thrive in a world that mirrored their highest aspirations. The field of reeds was more than just an afterlife, it was a reflection of the very best that life could offer, eternally preserved in a realm of perfect peace. It stood as a beautiful culmination of the ancient Egyptians' understanding of life, death, and the endless quest for spiritual fulfillment. When you think of ancient Egypt, majestic temples rise from the desert sands, each a testament to the divine connection between the gods and the people. These grand structures were not just buildings but living symbols of faith and power, a bridge between the mortal world and the divine. At the heart of this sacred architecture is Karnak, a sprawling complex that seems to stretch on forever. As you walk through its colossal halls, each towering column and intricate carving whispers stories of the past. Karnak was dedicated to Ammonius, the king of the gods, and it was here that the pulse of religious life beat strongest. The sheer scale of Karnak is overwhelming, with massive pylons and enormous statues that dwarf visitors, making them feel both humbled and awed. It's as if the very stones are imbued with the power of prayer and devotion, holding the echoes of countless ceremonies and offerings. Moving south, Luxor stands as another beacon of ancient spirituality. Once known as Thebes, Luxor's temples are a celebration of divine glory and royal power. The Luxor temple, illuminated at dusk, seems to glow with an ethereal light, as if touched by the gods themselves. Walking through its grand entrance, you are greeted by rows of statues and towering obelisks that tell tales of gods and pharaohs intertwined in eternal reverence. Each carving and hieroglyph is a chapter in the divine saga, revealing the deep connection between the earthly and the celestial. Further south, Abu Simbel is a breathtaking marvel carved into the mountainside by Ramses II. This site, with its colossal statues of the pharaoh seated as a god, was designed to impress and inspire. The sheer scale of Abu Simbel is awe-inspiring, its rock-hewn temples dedicated to Are-Horikti, Ammonius Ra, and Ptah. The grandeur of the statues and the precision of their alignment reflect the extraordinary vision and power of Ramses II. When the sun aligns perfectly during the solstice, its rays illuminate the inner sanctum, casting a divine glow on the statues and creating a moment of celestial connection. This was not just architecture but a celestial event, a reminder of the gods' presence and their favor. These temples were not just places of worship, they were the heart of Egyptian society. Each one was a center of pilgrimage, where people came to seek blessings, make offerings, and participate in grand festivals. The walls of these sacred spaces were adorned with vibrant scenes of rituals and ceremonies, depicting the constant interplay between the divine and the human. The air in these temples was thick with incense and prayer, creating an atmosphere that felt both otherworldly and intimately personal. Within the temple precincts, priests and priestesses performed rituals that ensured the gods remained pleased and their favor was maintained. These rituals were elaborate, involving music, dance, and offerings of food and precious items. The temple was a living entity, its daily activities a reflection of the divine order and a way to keep the cosmic balance intact. The sacred lakes and gardens surrounding the temples were not mere decorations, but essential parts of the spiritual experience. These spaces offered a place of reflection and tranquility, where worshippers could connect with the divine in a serene setting. The reflections in the water were seen as a glimpse into the divine realm, a way to experience a piece of the eternal in the midst of the temporal. In ancient Egypt, these temples were more than just religious centers, they were powerful symbols of the god's presence and the pharaoh's divine authority. Each temple was a manifestation of faith, a physical representation of the bond between the mortal and the divine. They were places where the ancient Egyptians could witness the eternal beauty of their gods and partake in the rituals that kept their world in harmony. These sacred sites still stand today, silent witnesses to a bygone era of grandeur and devotion. Each stone and statue continues to tell the story of a civilization that cherished its gods and sought to live in harmony with the divine order. Walking through these ancient temples is like stepping into a living dream, where the past is ever present and the connection to the divine remains palpable and profound. In the heart of ancient Egypt, the Nile River flowed like a lifeline, weaving through the desert as a symbol of profound significance. It was not merely a river but a divine gift, its waters bringing life and vitality to the land and its people. From the first rays of dawn to the deepening twilight, the Nile was a constant presence, shaping every aspect of Egyptian life and belief. It was the source of the fertile soil that allowed crops to grow in an otherwise arid land, turning the desert green and lush. The annual flooding of the Nile, known as the inundation, was a miraculous event that renewed the soil and ensured a bountiful harvest. This cycle of water and renewal was seen as a divine blessing, a gift from the gods themselves. The people of Egypt believed that without the Nile, life as they knew it would not exist. It was the river that breathed life into their world, and so it was revered as a symbol of creation and abundance. But the Nile was not just a giver of life. It also held a deeper, more complex symbolism tied to the mysteries of death and the afterlife. In Egyptian mythology, the Nile was believed to be a pathway to the afterlife, connecting the world of the living with the realm of the dead. The river was thought to flow through the underworld, carrying souls on their journey to the afterlife. The life-giving waters of the Nile thus had a dual nature, representing both the continuity of life and the transition into death. The ancient Egyptians saw the Nile as a divine being, often personified as the god Hapi. Hapi was depicted as a plump, bearded man with water plants growing from his body, symbolizing the fertility and abundance he brought. He was celebrated during the inundation, and his blessings were sought to ensure prosperity and a good harvest. The Nile's annual flood was a moment of joy and reverence, a reminder of the god's favor and the promise of sustenance for the year to come. The river's role in mythology was deeply intertwined with the god Osiris, the deity of the underworld and rebirth. According to myth, Osiris was associated with the Nile's flooding, which was seen as a manifestation of his presence. The waters that brought life were also seen as a sign of his continuing influence, ensuring that the cycle of life and death remained in balance. The floodwaters of the Nile, in this sense, were a sacred reminder of Osiris's eternal presence and his role in the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The Nile also had a more personal connection to the afterlife. For Egyptians, the river's waters were believed to cleanse and purify the soul, preparing it for its journey through the underworld. This connection between the Nile and the afterlife made the river a central part of funerary rituals. Burials often included small models of boats or even actual boats, symbolizing the soul's journey along the river to its final destination. The belief that the Nile could carry the deceased safely to the afterlife was a source of comfort and hope for the living. The river's significance was also reflected in the daily lives of the Egyptians. Villages and towns were built along its banks, and life revolved around its waters. Fishing, boating, and agriculture were all deeply influenced by the Nile, and the river's annual rise and fall dictated the rhythm of life in ancient Egypt. Festivals and celebrations were held in honor of the Nile, and its waters were a constant reminder of the god's blessings and the delicate balance between life and death. As you imagine the Nile winding its way through the landscape, it's easy to see why it was considered both a gift and a mystery. It was a river that gave life and carried souls to the afterlife, embodying the dual aspects of existence that the ancient Egyptians cherished and revered. Its waters were both a source of joy and a reminder of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The Nile was not just a river, it was a divine force that shaped the very fabric of Egyptian mythology and daily life. In the world of ancient Egypt, animals were more than just creatures roaming the earth, they were revered, seen as sacred beings with deep spiritual significance. Their roles in mythology and religion wove through the fabric of everyday life, adding layers of meaning to the divine and the natural world. Among the sacred animals, cats held a special place of honor. They were not only cherished as household pets, but also venerated for their divine connection. Cats were associated with the goddess Batet, who was the embodiment of home, fertility, and protection. Batet, often depicted with the head of a lioness or domestic cat, was believed to protect families and ensure the well-being of children. Her gentle, nurturing side balanced with a fierce, protective nature mirrored the way cats themselves were both loving companions and capable of fierce independence. The graceful elegance of cats and their mysterious demeanor led to their revered status. In temples and households, statues and amulets of cats were common, symbolizing protection and blessings from Batet. The reverence for cats was so profound that harming one, even accidentally, was considered a grave offense, reflecting the high regard in which these animals were held. Crocodiles, on the other hand, embodied a more complex and daunting presence in Egyptian mythology. The fearsome crocodile was associated with the god Sobek, who was both a deity of the Nile and a symbol of strength and protection. Sobek was often depicted with a crocodile's head, and his role in the mythology was as fierce as the creature itself. He was believed to safeguard the Nile and ensure its life-giving floods. His association with fertility and military prowess added to his formidable reputation. While Sobek could be seen as a protector, his connection with the destructive power of crocodiles reminded the Egyptians of the thin line between order and chaos. The reverence for Sobek and crocodiles reflected the Egyptians' understanding of nature's dual nature, its capacity for both life-giving sustenance and terrifying power. Falcons soared high in the Egyptian sky, embodying the divine power and kingship associated with the god Horus. The falcon was a symbol of the heavens and was often seen as a divine messenger. Horus, depicted with a falcon's head, was the god of the sky and the protector of the ruler. The soaring flight of the falcon was a metaphor for Horus's dominance and his watchful protection over Egypt. As a symbol of the pharaoh, Horus's connection to the falcon underscored the ruler's divine right to govern and protect the land. The falcon's keen vision was also associated with insight and foresight, qualities that were highly valued in both the divine and earthly realms. The significance of these animals went beyond their mythological roles; they influenced daily life and religious practices. Temples and tombs often contained representations of these sacred animals, each serving as a reminder of the divine protection and blessings associated with them. Rituals and offerings were made to honor these deities, with the belief that doing so would bring favor and safeguard the community. In ancient Egyptian culture, animals were not seen as mere creatures but as manifestations of divine powers. Cats, crocodiles, and falcons were all integral to the spiritual landscape, each embodying aspects of life, death, protection, and royalty. Their roles in religion and myth reflected the Egyptians' profound connection to the natural world and their understanding of its divine influence. This deep reverence for sacred animals captured the essence of how intertwined the world of the gods was with the world of the living. The animals were not just symbols but were seen as active participants in the divine drama, embodying the powerful forces that shaped the universe and human destiny. In the heart of ancient Egypt, religious festivals were not just celebrations, they were vibrant expressions of faith, community, and the divine. Each festival was a living tapestry of rituals and processions, marking the passage of time and the connection between gods and people. One of the grandest festivals was the Opet festival. Held annually in Thebes, this festival was a spectacular display of religious devotion and unity. For days, the streets would overflow with joy and anticipation. The festival honored Ammonius, the king of the gods, and celebrated his divine presence with awe-inspiring ceremonies. The Opet festival centered around the sacred journey of the god statue from Karnak Temple to Luxor Temple. Imagine the scene: thousands of priests and worshippers, dressed in their finest garments, would gather to escort the divine image along the Nile. The air would be filled with the rhythmic beating of drums, the scent of incense, and the murmur of prayers. The procession was more than just a physical journey, it symbolized the rejuvenation of the king and the renewal of the land's fertility. As the statue moved slowly, it was carried on a grand bark, richly adorned and surrounded by an array of offerings. The people would line the riverbanks, eager to catch a glimpse of the divine, feeling the electricity of the moment. The Opet festival was a time when the divine and mortal worlds came together in a harmonious dance, reinforcing the bond between the gods and the people. It was a period of renewal and celebration, marking the moment when the gods' blessings were believed to be most potent. Another poignant festival was the Festival of the Beautiful Reunion. This celebration was a deeply emotional event that honored the gods and their relationships. Held at various times of the year, it focused on the sacred reunion of deities who were believed to be separated. One of the most moving aspects of this festival was its emphasis on the return of the goddess Hathor to her home in Dendera. The Festival of the Beautiful Reunion was a time of great joy and relief, a moment when the god's presence was felt more strongly than ever. The people would gather in grand temples, their voices raised in song and prayer, their hearts full of hope and reverence. During the festival, elaborate rituals were performed, including the reenactment of the divine reunions. Statues of the gods were carried through the streets in joyous processions, accompanied by music and dance. The air was thick with the sounds of celebratory chants, and the atmosphere was electric with the collective anticipation of divine presence. The festival brought people together, reinforcing their sense of community and shared faith. The reunion of the gods was not just a mythic event, but a powerful reminder of the gods' ongoing influence in the world. The festivals were more than religious observances, they were profound expressions of the human spirit. They offered a chance for people to connect with the divine, to seek blessings, and to celebrate the cycles of life and nature. The processions, rituals, and communal gatherings were filled with emotion and reverence, reflecting a deep-seated belief in the gods' active role in the world. Through these festivals, the ancient Egyptians experienced the sacred in their daily lives, finding joy and meaning in the shared celebration of their faith. In the heart of ancient Egypt, amulets and sacred objects were more than mere ornaments, they were believed to be powerful guardians of the soul, protectors against evil, and symbols of divine favor. Each piece was imbued with profound meaning, crafted with care and worn close to the body to ensure its blessings. One of the most revered symbols was the ankh, a simple yet powerful emblem. Shaped like a cross with a loop at the top, the ankh was known as the key of life. It symbolized eternal life and divine protection, serving as a reminder of the gods' promises of immortality. To the ancient Egyptians, the ankh was not just a charm but a vital talisman that linked the physical world with the eternal. Wearing an ankh was believed to offer protection against death and misfortune, ensuring a favorable journey into the afterlife. It was common to find the ankh in tombs and temples, where it served as a potent symbol of the afterlife's promise. Another powerful amulet was the scarab beetle, which represented rebirth and transformation. The scarab was seen as a symbol of the sun's daily journey across the sky and the renewal of life. It was often used in jewelry, rings, and as a charm carried for protection. The beetle's rolling of dung was likened to the sun rolling across the sky, and thus, the scarab was associated with the sun god Ra and the eternal cycle of life and death. The scarab was not just a symbol of protection, but also a sign of strength and perseverance. It was believed that the scarab could bring good fortune and safeguard the wearer from harm. The jade pillar, another essential amulet, was a symbol of stability and endurance. Resembling a column with a series of crossbars at the top, the jade was associated with the god Osiris, who was the ruler of the afterlife. This symbol represented the backbone of Osiris, ensuring stability and strength for the soul in the afterlife. It was often placed in tombs and used in funerary rites to guarantee that the deceased would be supported in their journey to the afterlife. The jade pillar was more than just a symbol of support, it was a powerful emblem of eternal stability, providing reassurance that the soul would be protected and strengthened for the challenges of the afterlife. Each of these symbols carried deep significance and was meticulously crafted to ensure their protective powers. They were worn around the neck, carried in pockets, or placed in tombs, as their influence was believed to be most potent when they were close to the individual. The ancient Egyptians believed that these amulets were not mere decorations, but powerful tools that could shape their destiny and safeguard their journey beyond this life. In the rich tapestry of Egyptian belief, amulets and sacred objects were cherished not only for their aesthetic beauty but also for their profound spiritual significance. They connected the living with the divine, offering comfort and protection against the uncertainties of life and death. Through these sacred symbols, the ancient Egyptians sought to secure their place in the world of the gods, ensuring that their souls would be blessed and protected for eternity. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was not just a ruler, he was seen as a living god, a divine figure whose power was both spiritual and temporal. His role extended beyond that of a mere king. He was considered the earthly embodiment of the gods, a link between the divine and the human worlds. This belief in the pharaoh's divine nature was a cornerstone of Egyptian society, shaping their religion, politics, and daily life. At the heart of this divine kingship was the idea that the pharaoh was the living Horus, the falcon-headed god of the sky. Horus was not just a symbol of royal power, but a protector and avenger of the righteous. The pharaoh's identity as Horus meant that he was viewed as the divine guardian of Egypt, responsible for maintaining order and justice on earth. This belief granted him an almost sacred authority, making his rule a matter of divine will rather than just political necessity. The pharaoh's role was not limited to governance, it extended into the spiritual realm. As the living Horus, the pharaoh was believed to be endowed with divine wisdom and power, capable of communicating with the gods and ensuring their favor. This connection was vital for maintaining Ma'at, the ancient Egyptian concept of cosmic order and balance. The pharaoh's duty was to uphold Ma'at, ensuring the harmony of the universe and the prosperity of the land. His actions were seen as divinely inspired, and his decisions were believed to be guided by the gods. During ceremonies and rituals, the pharaoh would often take on the guise of Horus, donning the god's symbolic regalia. These rituals were not mere performances, but profound acts of divine representation. The pharaoh's role in these ceremonies reinforced his position as the mediator between the gods and the people, solidifying his status as a living deity. Through these acts, the pharaoh was seen as channeling the divine power of Horus, bringing blessings and protection to Egypt. The idea of the pharaoh as a living god was also deeply rooted in the concept of succession. When a pharaoh died, it was believed that his divine essence did not simply vanish but continued in the next ruler. The new pharaoh would take on the mantle of Horus, inheriting both the divine authority and the responsibility to maintain order. This seamless transition of divine kingship ensured that Egypt remained under the protection and guidance of the gods, even as individual rulers came and went. The pharaoh's divine status was not just a matter of personal belief, but a crucial aspect of statecraft. It justified the pharaoh's absolute authority and the immense resources devoted to his temples and monuments. The construction of massive structures like pyramids and temples was seen as acts of devotion, not only honoring the gods, but also reinforcing the pharaoh's divine role. These grand edifices were more than architectural feats, they were physical manifestations of the pharaoh's divine power and his commitment to maintaining Ma'at. In the hearts and minds of the ancient Egyptians, the pharaoh was a symbol of divine order, a beacon of hope and protection. His divine kingship was a source of stability and security, ensuring that Egypt remained a land of prosperity and harmony. The belief that the pharaoh was the living Horus imbued his rule with a sense of sacred significance, making him a central figure in the spiritual and political life of Egypt. As the living embodiment of Horus, the pharaoh carried the weight of both divine expectation and earthly responsibility. His reign was a testament to the profound connection between the gods and the people, a link that was cherished and revered in ancient Egyptian society. The pharaoh's divine kingship was more than a role, it was a sacred duty, a reflection of the god's presence on earth, and a promise of eternal protection and prosperity for the land of Egypt. In the heart of ancient Egypt, a radical transformation occurred, shaking the very foundations of the established religious order. This upheaval was driven by Akhenaten, a pharaoh whose vision would forever change the landscape of Egyptian spirituality. At the center of this revolution was the worship of a singular deity, the Aten, the sun disk, which Akhenaten elevated to the pinnacle of divine worship. Before Akhenaten's reign, Egypt's religious life was a rich tapestry of gods and goddesses, each with their own roles and temples. The most revered among them was Osiris, the king of the gods, who symbolized the sun's powerful and life-giving force. But Akhenaten, originally known as Amenhotep IV, embarked on a dramatic departure from this traditional polytheistic worship. His heart and mind were consumed by a vision of the Aten, a form of the sun that represented a single, all-encompassing divine force. The shift began early in Akhenaten's reign when he changed his name to honor the Aten, reflecting his devotion to this new deity. He moved the capital from Thebes to a newly established city, Akhenaten, which is now known as Amarna. This city was dedicated to the Aten, and its creation symbolized the pharaoh's commitment to his new religious vision. The architecture of Akhenaten was unique, with open-air temples and structures designed to honor the sun disk directly, reflecting the pharaoh's belief that the Aten's light was a direct connection to the divine. Under Akhenaten's rule, the traditional Pantheon of Gods was pushed aside. Temples dedicated to other deities were closed, and the priests who served them were displaced. The Aten was celebrated in grand ceremonies and depicted as a radiant disk extending its life-giving rays to the world, embracing the pharaoh and his family in its warmth. This image of the Aten was more than symbolic, it was meant to represent a personal, immediate connection between the divine and the pharaoh's court. The changes were not just about worship but also about rethinking the relationship between the divine and the earthly realm. Akhenaten's revolutionary belief was that the Aten was the sole god, the creator and sustainer of all life, making other deities unnecessary. This shift was both a theological and political maneuver, aimed at centralizing power and diminishing the influence of the powerful priesthoods that had long held sway over Egyptian society. Akhenaten's devotion to the Aten was absolute, but it came with significant consequences. The old ways were deeply ingrained in the hearts and lives of the Egyptian people. The transition was met with resistance, and many of the traditional religious practices were continued in secret. Akhenaten's reign, while marked by artistic innovation and a distinctive style that portrayed him and his family in a more intimate and humanistic manner, was also a period of turmoil and strife. The pharaoh's zeal for his new religion led to a period of religious and cultural upheaval. As Akhenaten aged, the divine light of the Aten began to dim in the eyes of many Egyptians. The changes he instituted were not universally embraced, and his successors, notably Tutankhamun, would restore the old gods and traditional practices. The city of Akhenaten was abandoned, and the worship of the Aten was gradually erased from official records. Yet, the impact of Akhenaten's religious revolution was profound. His reign remains a striking example of how a single vision can reshape a society's spiritual landscape. The Aten's worship introduced a new way of thinking about the divine and the relationship between gods and humans. Even though the Aten's prominence faded, Akhenaten's bold experimentation with religious ideas left an indelible mark on the history of Egypt and the study of ancient religions. Akhenaten's attempt to place the Aten at the center of Egyptian worship was a dramatic, if fleeting, shift in the spiritual and political life of ancient Egypt. His devotion to this singular sun disk symbolized a radical break from the past, one that would echo through the corridors of history, a testament to the pharaoh's extraordinary, if controversial, vision. In the heart of ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was not just a ruler but a divine intermediary, a bridge between the gods and the earthly realm. This sacred role was central to the spiritual life of the people, weaving together the divine and the mortal in a dance of devotion and duty. Imagine the pharaoh, draped in magnificent robes, standing before the towering columns of a grand temple. The air is thick with incense, a fragrant cloud that swirls around the sacred statues and golden offerings. The pharaoh's presence is more than ceremonial, it is the very embodiment of divine will and power. This moment is not just a ritual, it is a living connection to the gods. In Egypt, the pharaoh's role was far from ordinary. He was seen as the living Horus, a direct link to the divine world. The gods were believed to speak through him, and his actions were thought to reflect the will of the gods. This belief made the pharaoh's duties in the temple crucial, as he was the one who could communicate with the gods on behalf of his people. Every morning, as the first rays of the sun kissed the land, the pharaoh would perform intricate rituals in the temple. These rituals were more than mere acts of worship, they were vital offerings designed to maintain balance and harmony between the gods and the world. In the dim light of the temple, priests prepared elaborate altars and presented gifts of bread, wine, and incense, each item symbolizing a different aspect of divine favor and respect. The pharaoh's role in these rituals was profoundly symbolic. He performed sacred ceremonies meant to appease and honor the gods, ensuring that their favor remained upon Egypt. The pharaoh's hands, as he made offerings or recited prayers, were believed to be the hands of the gods themselves. When he touched the sacred statues, it was as though the divine essence was transmitted through him, bridging the gap between heaven and earth. These rituals were not performed in isolation. They were part of a grand cosmic order, reflecting the pharaoh's responsibilities to his people and the gods. The pharaoh's presence in the temple was essential for maintaining Ma'at, the concept of cosmic order and truth. By upholding Ma'at through these rituals, the pharaoh ensured that the gods would continue to bless Egypt with prosperity and protection. The offerings were not just tokens of respect, they were vital for the gods' sustenance in the afterlife. Every item placed on the altar, whether it was a bowl of fruit or a carefully crafted statue, was believed to nourish the gods, allowing them to continue their divine work. The pharaoh's participation in these offerings was a way of ensuring that the gods remained powerful and benevolent. In the grand ceremonies, the pharaoh would often perform rituals that celebrated the gods' triumphs and honored their roles in creation. These ceremonies were public spectacles, showcasing the pharaoh's divine connection and the nation's devotion. Spectators would witness the pharaoh's powerful rituals, reinforcing the belief that their ruler was the living embodiment of divine will. Yet, the pharaoh's role was not merely about performing rituals. It was also about setting an example of piety and virtue for the people. His actions in the temple were meant to inspire and guide the populace, demonstrating the importance of maintaining divine favor through their own acts of worship and moral conduct. The pharaoh's role extended beyond the temple walls. He was also a patron of temple construction and maintenance, ensuring that the gods had grand spaces in which to dwell. The grandeur of these temples, with their towering columns and intricate carvings, was a reflection of the pharaoh's devotion and the divine favor that he was believed to channel. The rituals performed by the pharaoh were integral to the daily life of ancient Egyptians. They were more than symbolic acts, they were vital for ensuring the gods' favor and the country's prosperity. The pharaoh's presence in the temple was a reminder of the divine order that governed their lives and the sacred responsibilities that came with their role as the living link to the gods. In every ritual, in every offering, the pharaoh stood as a living testament to the divine connection between the gods and the people of Egypt. His role was both sacred and burdensome, a constant reminder of the delicate balance between the divine and the mortal. Through his rituals, the pharaoh maintained the sacred harmony that allowed Egypt to flourish, embodying the hopes, fears, and devotion of an entire civilization. In the heart of ancient Egypt, the Valley of the King stands as a solemn witness to the grandeur and mystery of royal funerary practices. This ancient necropolis, hidden away in a rocky desert valley, holds the final resting places of Egypt's most revered pharaohs. As you walk through this sacred land, the air is heavy with the whispers of an age-old promise, the hope of eternal life. The Valley of the Kings is not merely a collection of tombs, it is a sacred journey into the afterlife. Each tomb, intricately carved into the mountainside, tells a story of devotion, belief, and the profound desire for immortality. These tombs were designed as more than just resting places. They were the gateways to a divine realm where the pharaohs would continue their lives in splendor, forever honored by the gods they served. Imagine descending into one of these ancient tombs. The walls are adorned with vibrant frescoes depicting scenes of gods and the afterlife, each image meticulously painted to guide and protect the deceased in their eternal journey. The artwork is not just decoration, it's a map to the afterlife, illustrating the path that the pharaoh would take as they moved from this world into the next. The tombs in the Valley of the Kings were filled with everything a ruler might need in the afterlife. Elaborate coffins, precious jewelry, and even food offerings were placed inside to ensure that the pharaoh would be well prepared for eternity. These items were chosen with the utmost care, reflecting the belief that the afterlife was a continuation of earthly life but on a grander, divine scale. One of the most striking features of these tombs is the elaborate burial chambers. The pharaoh's body was carefully preserved through mummification and placed within a beautifully decorated sarcophagus. This sarcophagus was often placed inside a series of other coffins, each one more ornate than the last, to protect the body and the spirit as it journeyed into the afterlife. The preparation for the afterlife was a grand affair, reflecting the belief that the deceased was embarking on a journey to join the gods. Rituals performed in the tomb were meant to ensure a safe passage. Priests would recite prayers, make offerings, and perform sacred rites to help the pharaoh navigate the perils of the underworld and achieve eternal life among the gods. The Valley of the Kings was also a statement of power and legacy. Each tomb was constructed to reflect the grandeur and divine nature of the ruler buried within. The scale and intricacy of the tombs were a testament to the pharaoh's divine status and the importance of their continued presence in the afterlife. One of the most poignant aspects of these royal tombs is the belief that the pharaoh was not simply buried but transformed. The tombs were designed to facilitate this transformation, turning the mortal body into an immortal essence. The pharaoh's journey through the afterlife was seen as a divine quest, filled with trials and ultimate reunification with the gods, particularly Osiris, the god of the underworld. The burial practices were steeped in symbolism. The placement of objects, the orientation of the tomb, and the inscriptions were all carefully planned to align with the cosmic order. These practices were not only about honoring the dead but ensuring that they would have a rightful place in the divine realm, continuing their reign in a form of eternal life. As you stand before the entrance of a tomb in the Valley of the Kings, you can almost feel the weight of centuries of devotion and the intensity of the desire for eternal life. Each tomb is a masterpiece of spiritual and material preparation, designed to protect, honor, and ensure the immortality of the pharaoh. The Valley of the Kings and its royal tombs are a powerful reminder of the ancient Egyptians' belief in the afterlife and their dedication to ensuring a safe passage to eternity. Each tomb is a testament to the enduring hope that death was not an end but a beginning, a journey to a realm where the pharaohs could live forever among the gods they revered. In ancient Egypt, magic was more than just superstition, it was a powerful force that shaped both daily life and spiritual beliefs. Known as Heka, this ancient practice was woven into the very fabric of Egyptian existence, blending seamlessly with religion and everyday activities. Heka was not merely a practice, it was believed to be the essential force that enabled gods, people, and the universe itself to function harmoniously. Picture a bustling marketplace in ancient Egypt. Amid the vibrant colors and lively chatter, magic was subtly at work. Every spell, charm, and ritual was infused with Heka, believed to influence the outcomes of daily life. From ensuring a bountiful harvest to protecting a household from evil spirits, magic was a daily necessity. Families might hang amulets on their doorways to ward off harm, or they might whisper incantations to attract good fortune and health. The power of Heka was everywhere, providing comfort and hope in a world that could often be unpredictable and harsh. Magic in Egypt wasn't just a personal or domestic affair, it was deeply integrated into the spiritual practices of the time. Priests and magicians played crucial roles in invoking the gods and maintaining cosmic order through their mastery of Heka. These skilled individuals were not just performing tricks, they were mediators between the divine and the earthly realms, channeling the power of the gods to achieve desired outcomes. In temples, where the divine and mortal worlds intersected, the role of Heka was paramount. Priests conducted elaborate rituals to ensure that the gods were pleased and that the cosmic balance was maintained. They invoked divine presence through chants and ceremonies, drawing upon Heka to transform ordinary acts into sacred rites. These rituals could involve offerings of food, incense, and precious objects, all performed with the belief that they would attract the favor of the gods and bring prosperity to the land. One of the most profound aspects of Egyptian magic was its ability to influence the unseen world. It was believed that words and symbols had real power, capable of shaping reality and affecting outcomes. Priests and magicians used sacred texts and spells to invoke the gods, protect against evil, and ensure the smooth flow of life's events. The act of writing a spell, inscribing it on a papyrus scroll or a temple wall, was thought to summon the divine energy needed to manifest the desired change. The power of Heka was not confined to religious ceremonies alone, it was an integral part of Egyptian life. For example, during times of illness, individuals would seek out magical remedies and consult with magicians to heal their ailments. Magic was believed to work hand in hand with medicine, each reinforcing the other to restore health and well-being. Even in the afterlife, Heka played a crucial role. The Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and rituals for the deceased, was filled with magical texts meant to guide the soul through the underworld and secure a place in the afterlife. These spells were essential for the journey through the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, ensuring that the deceased could overcome obstacles and join the gods in eternal peace. Heka was more than a set of rituals, it was a fundamental aspect of the Egyptians' worldview. The belief in magic was so ingrained that it permeated every layer of society. It provided a sense of control over the unpredictable elements of life and a means to interact with the divine. Magic was both a protective shield and a beacon of hope, a way to navigate the complexities of existence with confidence and assurance. As you reflect on the role of Heka in ancient Egypt, you see how deeply magic was interwoven with every aspect of life. It was a source of power, hope, and connection to the divine, shaping the way people understood and interacted with their world. The legacy of Heka reminds us of the profound human desire to influence the cosmos and to find meaning in the mysterious and unseen forces that govern our lives. In the silent echoes of ancient Egypt, sacred texts whisper timeless secrets and profound truths, carrying the voices of a civilization that held its gods, its kings, and its beliefs in the highest reverence. Among these texts, the pyramid texts, coffin texts, and the litany of our age stand as monumental pillars, guiding the dead and the living through the mystical passage from life to the afterlife. Imagine the towering grandeur of the pyramids, their stone surfaces etched with inscriptions that seem to come alive with each passing sunbeam. The pyramid texts, the oldest of these sacred writings, are a treasure trove of ancient wisdom carved into the very walls of the pharaoh's tombs. These texts, dating back to the Old Kingdom, were meant to protect and guide the pharaohs in their journey to the afterlife. Each inscription is a prayer, a spell, a heartfelt plea for divine protection and eternal life. The texts are a testament to the pharaoh's belief that their power and divinity would continue beyond death, forever intertwined with the gods they served. Moving from the grandeur of the pyramids to the intimate confines of a coffin, the coffin texts emerge as personal guides for the deceased. Unlike the pyramid texts, which were reserved for royalty, the coffin texts were more accessible and found their way into the tombs of ordinary people. These texts were painted or inscribed directly onto coffins, offering spells and hymns to safeguard the deceased against dangers in the afterlife. As you read through these texts, you can almost hear the ancient voices pleading for a peaceful passage to the afterlife, seeking comfort and reassurance in the face of the unknown. The coffin texts reflect a profound intimacy and care, showing a personal relationship between the living and the dead. Each spell is like a loving touch, meant to ease the transition from the physical world to the realm of eternity. These texts reveal the hope and faith of a society that believed in the power of words to change fate, to protect, and to ensure a safe and serene journey to the next world. Among these sacred writings, the Litany of Ra stands out as a powerful hymn of praise and devotion. Dedicated to Ra, the sun god, this litany captures the awe and reverence Egyptians felt towards the sun, the source of all life. The hymn praises Ra's daily journey across the sky and his vital role in the cosmic order. Reciting these words was not merely a religious practice, it was an act of devotion, a way to connect with the divine energy that sustained and nurtured life. The Litany of Ra embodies the spiritual essence of the sun god, portraying him as the protector of creation and the overseer of the universe. Through its verses, you can sense the Egyptians' deep appreciation for the sun's life-giving power, their belief in its divine nature, and their reliance on it for the sustenance of all existence. Each line of the hymn carries a resonance that speaks to the enduring connection between the mortal and the divine, bridging the gap between human experience and cosmic grandeur. As you immerse yourself in these texts, you feel the heartbeat of a civilization that believed in the enduring power of words. The pyramid texts, coffin texts, and Litany of Ra are more than just ancient writings, they are the echoes of a culture's hopes, fears, and unshakable faith. They reveal a world where the sacred and the everyday were intertwined, where the act of writing held the power to shape destinies and influence the divine. The sacred texts of ancient Egypt remind us of the profound human desire to reach out to the gods, to secure a place in the afterlife, and to seek guidance and protection through the power of written words. They offer a glimpse into the rich spiritual tapestry of a civilization that valued the eternal and the divine, crafting a legacy of devotion that continues to inspire awe and wonder. In the ancient world of Egypt, where the gods were deeply intertwined with the daily lives of the people, oracles were the living bridge between the divine and the mortal. The air was thick with expectation and reverence as people sought to hear the voice of the gods through these sacred mediums, believing that their words held the power to alter destinies and shape the future. Picture a quiet, shadowy chamber, filled with the heavy scent of incense. The oracle, often a priest or priestess with a sacred connection to the divine, prepares to receive messages from the gods. The atmosphere is charged with a palpable sense of awe and anticipation. This was no ordinary moment, it was a sacred ritual where the boundaries between the earthly and the divine blurred. Oracles in ancient Egypt played a crucial role in the spiritual and political life of the nation. They were believed to be chosen by the gods themselves, their words considered direct communications from the divine realm. When a pharaoh faced a critical decision or a common person sought guidance on a personal matter, the oracle was consulted. Their pronouncements were not just answers, they were seen as divine decrees that carried the weight of the god's will. One of the most famous oracles was associated with the temple of Ammonius at Siwa Oasis. Here, the oracle of Ammonius was revered throughout Egypt and beyond. Rulers, including Alexander the Great, journeyed across the desert to seek the oracle's guidance. The responses given were often cryptic, delivered in enigmatic language that required interpretation by priests. These messages were thought to be infused with divine wisdom, guiding leaders in their most crucial moments. The process of divine communication was a complex ritual. It often involved various forms of divination, such as interpreting the flight patterns of birds, examining the entrails of sacrificed animals, or even listening to the sounds of sacred instruments. Each method was believed to offer insights into the will of the gods. The oracles, skilled in these arts, would then translate these signs into messages that could be understood by the people seeking their counsel. In the heart of this sacred practice lay a deep sense of trust and fear. Trust in the divine power of the oracle and fear of the consequences if the guidance was ignored. The oracle's messages were woven into the fabric of Egyptian life, influencing decisions on everything from state affairs to personal destinies. A ruler's failure to heed an oracle's advice could be seen as a failure to respect the gods, which might bring divine retribution upon the land. One poignant example of the power of oracles can be found in the tale of the young pharaoh Tutankhamun. As a boy king, Tutankhamun faced numerous challenges. Seeking divine guidance, he turned to the oracle for help. The responses he received were seen as a lifeline, offering not just advice but a connection to the divine authority that could secure his rule and ensure the well-being of his kingdom. The role of oracles extended beyond personal or political matters. They also played a crucial part in the religious life of Egypt. Temples dedicated to specific gods often had their own oracles who communicated the needs and desires of the deity to the people. These oracles helped maintain the sacred relationship between the gods and their worshippers, ensuring that the rituals performed were in harmony with divine expectations. The practice of seeking oracles was more than a ritual, it was a profound expression of faith. It reflected the Egyptians' deep belief that the gods were actively involved in their lives and that their guidance was essential for maintaining balance and order. The responses of the oracles were revered not merely as advice, but as sacred truths that could shape the course of history. In a society where the divine and the earthly were inseparable, oracles served as a vital link between the two realms. They were the voices through which the gods spoke, offering direction and reassurance. The profound respect and awe surrounding their words remind us of a world where the divine was not a distant concept, but a palpable force that guided every aspect of life. As the incense faded and the shadows receded, the words of the oracle lingered in the hearts of those who heard them. Each message carried the weight of divine authority, a reminder of the gods' presence and their influence on the mortal world. In the quiet aftermath of these sacred rituals, the profound connection between the divine and the human continued, echoing through the ages in the rich tapestry of ancient Egyptian belief. In the ancient land of Egypt, where life was deeply intertwined with the mystical, people turned to magic for protection and healing in times of great need. The air was thick with a sense of urgency and hope as rituals and spells were performed to guard against unseen dangers and heal the body from ailments. Picture a quiet room, dimly lit by flickering lamps, where the soft murmur of ancient incantations fills the space with a soothing, almost otherworldly calm. The ancient Egyptians believed that the world was teeming with invisible forces, some benevolent and others malevolent. Protection against these evil forces was crucial. For this, they relied on a variety of magical practices that were considered both powerful and sacred. Amulets, inscribed with symbols and prayers, were worn constantly to shield the wearer from harm. These small charms were not merely ornaments, they were thought to be imbued with divine power. Each symbol, like the scarab beetle, the ankh, or the eye of Horus, held specific protective qualities, ensuring that those who wore them were under the watchful care of the gods. The rituals conducted to invoke protection were elaborate and filled with a profound sense of purpose. Priests and practitioners would perform sacred rites, chanting hymns that called upon deities to safeguard their homes and families. They might use sacred oils and incense, their fragrant smoke rising in spirals, carrying prayers to the heavens. Each movement was deliberate and meaningful, a dance of devotion that sought to create a barrier between the individual and malevolent forces. In moments of illness, the ancient Egyptians turned to healing magic, which was just as deeply rooted in their belief system. They believed that sickness was often the result of a disruption in the balance of spiritual forces, and so healing involved not just treating the body but also restoring harmony to the soul. Rituals would be performed to call upon deities of healing, like Imhotep or Hathor, asking for their intervention to cure ailments. One of the most touching aspects of these healing practices was the use of magical texts. These texts were often inscribed on papyrus or other materials and included detailed spells and incantations. They were carefully crafted to address specific ailments and were used in conjunction with physical treatments. For instance, if someone suffered from a headache, a spell might be recited while placing a specially prepared amulet on their forehead. This combination of word and object was believed to channel divine energy directly to the area in need of healing. The rituals themselves were performed with great care and reverence. Priests would often use specially prepared water or oil, which had been consecrated through prayer and ritual. This sacred substance would be applied to the afflicted area, or sometimes even to the entire body, in a ceremony that was both comforting and spiritually cleansing. The soft hum of the priest's voice as they recited ancient prayers was intended to invoke a sense of peace and reassurance, helping to ease both physical pain and spiritual distress. Families and individuals also played their part in these rituals. It wasn't uncommon for people to create their own protective charms at home, using materials that were considered sacred or imbued with divine energy. These homemade amulets would be placed under pillows or worn around the neck, serving as a constant reminder of the divine presence and protection. In addition to physical charms and rituals, the ancient Egyptians believed in the power of spoken words. They understood that the very act of speaking sacred words or phrases had a powerful effect on the world around them. Healing spells were recited with a deep belief in their efficacy, and each word was carefully chosen for its ability to channel divine power. One particularly moving aspect of these practices was the belief in the healing power of compassion and empathy. Healers and priests didn't just perform rituals mechanically, they did so with genuine care and concern for those they were helping. The act of providing comfort and support was seen as an essential part of the healing process, reinforcing the idea that magic was not just about the physical act, but also about the emotional and spiritual connection between the healer and the person in need. As the rituals concluded and the incense smoke began to settle, a profound sense of hope and relief would fill the space. The ancient Egyptians' approach to magic was a testament to their deep faith in the power of the divine and their unwavering belief in the ability to overcome adversity through spiritual means. In their world, every spell cast and every charm worn was a gesture of love and devotion, a way to connect with the gods and protect their loved ones from harm. In the heart of ancient Egypt, where the Nile's life-giving waters met the land, there existed a deity whose very presence commanded awe and reverence. Sobek, the crocodile god, was more than just a creature of the river. He embodied the raw, untamed power of nature itself. His figure, both feared and revered, was a symbol of the forces that shaped life along the Great Nile. Sobek's image, a fearsome crocodile head atop a human body, reflects his dual nature, both protective and perilous. The Nile River, a lifeline for the ancient Egyptians, was teeming with crocodiles, creatures that held a deep, symbolic significance. To the people who lived alongside this great river, Sobek was a divine protector who safeguarded them from the dangers of the water, including the very crocodiles that roamed its banks. His presence was believed to bring fertility to the land, ensuring the crops flourished and the people thrived. As the Nile flowed through Egypt, bringing life and sustenance, Sobek was seen as a crucial force in the cycles of growth and renewal. The river's floods were a source of both bounty and fear, with its rising waters bringing fertile silt to the fields, yet also carrying the potential for destruction. In this dynamic, Sobek was a balancing force, ensuring that the river's gifts were delivered safely and that the dangers were kept at bay. His role was to harness the river's power and channel it in ways that benefited the land and its people. Sobek's influence extended beyond mere protection. He was intimately connected with fertility. The crocodile god was believed to have a hand in the fertility of both the land and its people. His blessings were sought to ensure that the fields would yield bountiful harvests and that families would be blessed with children. His power was seen as essential to the prosperity of the community, intertwining his divine favor with the everyday lives of the Egyptians. In the rituals dedicated to Sobek, the river itself became a sacred space. Priests would offer prayers and make sacrifices to honor him, acknowledging his role in their lives and seeking his continued protection and blessing. The sacred ceremonies performed in Sobek's name were filled with deep reverence, as the ancient Egyptians understood that their very survival depended on the favor of this formidable god. One of the most touching aspects of Sobek's worship was the way he embodied the natural world's duality. On one hand, he was a fierce guardian of the Nile, a deity whose power could be as terrifying as it was awe-inspiring. On the other, he was a nurturing force, ensuring that the life-giving waters of the river brought fertility and abundance. This balance of power and protection made Sobek a god of profound significance, one whose presence was felt deeply in the daily lives of those who relied on the Nile's blessings. Sobek was also associated with the concept of divine kingship. Pharaohs, seen as the living embodiments of gods on earth, often sought Sobek's favor to legitimize their rule and ensure their power was unchallenged. The crocodile god was believed to endow the ruler with strength and authority, reinforcing the idea that the king's power was divinely ordained and protected by the gods. In this way, Sobek's influence extended into the very heart of the political and spiritual life of Egypt. As the sun set over the Nile, casting long shadows across the land, the ancient Egyptians would have looked to the river with a deep sense of gratitude and awe. The crocodiles that slipped silently through the water were seen not just as predators, but as sacred creatures under the watchful eye of Sobek. This reverence for Sobek's role in their lives, his power to protect, his blessings for fertility, and his connection to the very river that sustained them, was a testament to the profound relationship the ancient Egyptians had with their natural environment. In every ripple of the Nile, every splash of water, and every glimpse of a crocodile's eye, the people of ancient Egypt saw the presence of Sobek. He was not just a god but a living force, intricately woven into the fabric of their existence. Through him, the power of the river was harnessed and celebrated, ensuring that the cycles of life continued in harmony with the natural world. In the hushed stillness of the ancient Egyptian night, where shadows stretch long and the Nile's gentle murmur fills the air, there exists a profound presence of sorrow and solace. Nephthys, the mourning goddess, stands as a guardian of grief and protector of the dead, embodying the tender balance between loss and comfort. Nephthys, whose name echoes with the weight of mourning, is often depicted with a headdress resembling a basket, symbolizing the nurturing role she played in the afterlife. Her figure, draped in the dark, somber colors of mourning, reflects a deep compassion and understanding of the human condition. In her eyes, one can see the shared grief of those who have lost loved ones, and in her embrace, the promise of solace. As the goddess of mourning, Nephthys has a unique role in Egyptian mythology. Unlike some deities who are associated with joy and life, Nephthys' domain is the delicate and somber world of death and loss. She is there to comfort the bereaved and to guide the souls of the departed to their final resting place. Her presence is both a reminder of the inevitable sorrow that comes with parting and a beacon of hope for those who seek peace beyond the veil of death. In ancient Egyptian rituals, Nephthys was a constant companion to the grieving. Her role extended far beyond mere symbolism. She was a real, comforting presence for those left behind. During funerals and mourning periods, her name would be invoked to offer strength and reassurance. Her role as a protector meant that she stood vigil over the deceased, ensuring their safe passage to the afterlife and guarding them from malevolent forces that might seek to harm them. The goddess's compassion was not limited to the living, it extended to the deceased as well. Nephthys was often depicted as a guardian angel for souls, ensuring their journey to the afterlife was as smooth and safe as possible. Her protective nature was especially vital during the perilous transition from the world of the living to the realm of the dead. In this sacred role, she became a bridge between the mortal realm and the divine, offering solace to those who had lost their way and comfort to those who had crossed over. The stories of Nephthys often intertwine with other deities, such as Osiris and Isis. Her role in these narratives highlights her deep connection to the themes of death and resurrection. She was not just a figure of mourning but a crucial player in the mythological cycles of life and rebirth. Her partnership with Isis, the goddess of motherhood and fertility, was a symbol of the balance between life's sorrow and its promise of renewal. Together, they offered a full spectrum of support to both the living and the deceased, ensuring that the cycle of life continued with grace and dignity. Nephthys' role also had a profound impact on the everyday lives of ancient Egyptians. The rituals and practices surrounding death were deeply intertwined with her influence. Families would seek her blessings and protection, hoping to ensure that their loved ones were cared for in the afterlife. The goddess's presence was a constant reminder that while grief was an inevitable part of life, it was also something that could be navigated with dignity and support. In moments of profound loss, the invocation of Nephthys' name would bring comfort and a sense of connection to something greater. Her presence in funerary texts and rituals was a source of reassurance that the souls of the departed were not alone. Through her, the ancient Egyptians found a measure of peace, knowing that their loved ones were under the watchful and compassionate gaze of a goddess who understood their sorrow. As the night fell over Egypt, casting its dark cloak over the land, Nephthys' presence was felt as a soft whisper of comfort in the silence. Her role as the mourning goddess was more than a mere duty, it was a heartfelt expression of empathy and care. Through her, the ancient Egyptians honored the depth of their emotions and the sacred journey of the soul. In every ritual performed and every prayer uttered, Nephthys' influence was felt deeply. Her compassion for the grieving and her protection of the dead were not just myths, but a testament to the profound ways in which the ancient Egyptians sought to make sense of loss and find solace. Through her, they connected with the divine in their moments of greatest need, finding in her presence a reflection of their own hopes and fears. Nephthys, with her enduring grace and empathy, remains a poignant symbol of the balance between sorrow and solace, embodying the eternal hope that, even in the darkest moments, there is always a guiding light to lead us through. In the soft glow of the ancient Egyptian dawn, there is a divine craftsman whose touch is both gentle and profound. Khnum, the Potter God, stands at the heart of creation, his hands shaping the very essence of humanity. Picture a scene where the earth itself becomes the canvas for divine artistry, where clay is not just material, but the foundation of life. Khnum is more than a deity, he is a master sculptor, molding the destiny of each person who walks the earth. With his potter's wheel, he spins the clay of existence, his hands expertly working the material to bring forth new life. Every human, in this sacred belief, is formed with purpose and care by Khnum's divine touch. His craftsmanship is not merely about creation, but about infusing life with meaning and connection. The process of shaping clay is more than a simple act of artistry. To the ancient Egyptians, it is a profound metaphor for the creation of the soul. Khnum's role in molding humans from clay symbolizes the deep bond between creator and creation. His potter's wheel is not just a tool, but a sacred instrument through which the essence of humanity is given form and substance. Each rotation of the wheel is a testament to the divine care that goes into every individual's existence. Imagine the warmth and intimacy of Khnum's workshop, where the clay is tenderly handled, each movement precise and filled with intention. This image is not just about the physical act of shaping clay, but also about the spiritual act of forming souls. Khnum's hands, skilled and loving, work to create beings who are not only shaped in form, but imbued with the spirit and character that will define their lives. In the mythology of ancient Egypt, Khnum is revered not only as a god of creation, but as a guardian of the soul's journey. His role extends beyond the initial act of creation to encompass the entire spectrum of human experience. From the moment of formation to the eventual return to the divine, Khnum's influence is felt. He is a constant reminder that every life has a purpose and that each person is crafted with care and intention. Khnum's influence is also seen in the daily lives of the ancient Egyptians. The reverence for his craft reflects a deep respect for the artistry and skill involved in creation. To them, Khnum's work was not just about the physical formation of humans, but about the divine connection that each individual carries. His craftsmanship is a reflection of the god's involvement in the details of human existence, underscoring the belief that every life is precious and unique. In religious rituals, Khnum's role is central. He is invoked to bless and protect, ensuring that the divine touch remains present in every aspect of life. His potter's wheel becomes a symbol of divine creativity and care, representing the ongoing relationship between humanity and the gods. Through rituals and prayers, the ancient Egyptians sought to honor Khnum's work, acknowledging the sacred nature of their own existence. The image of Khnum at his potter's wheel also speaks to the concept of divine craftsmanship in the afterlife. Just as he shapes the living, he is believed to continue guiding and molding the souls of the departed. In this sense, Khnum's role is eternal, bridging the gap between life and the afterlife. His craftsmanship ensures that every soul's journey is one of purpose and divine care. Khnum's story is one of profound intimacy and divine artistry. His hands, working with clay, symbolize a deep connection between the creator and creation. Each form he shapes is a testament to the love and care that go into every life. His role as the Potter God is not just about the act of creation, but about the ongoing relationship between humanity and the divine. As we reflect on Khnum's legacy, we are reminded of the sacredness of every life. His craftsmanship teaches us that we are all shaped with intention and care, each of us a unique work of divine art. In his hands, we find the reassurance that our lives have purpose and that we are all part of a greater, beautifully crafted whole. Khnum's presence in ancient Egyptian belief is a poignant reminder of the divine artistry that shapes our existence and the enduring bond between creator and creation. In the tender moments of life's beginning, when hope and anxiety mingle, there is a powerful guardian who watches over mothers and their newborns. Taweret, the goddess of childbirth, stands as a fierce protector and loving guardian, her presence a soothing balm in the midst of the chaos and wonder of bringing new life into the world. Imagine the raw and profound moment of childbirth, where each contraction is a test of strength and courage, and each cry of the newborn is a triumphant declaration of life. In this sacred process, Taweret's role is not just symbolic, it's a beacon of protection and comfort. With the head of a hippopotamus, the body of a pregnant woman, and the limbs of a lion, Taweret embodies both the nurturing and formidable aspects of motherhood. Her form itself is a testament to her dual role. She is both a fierce protector and a gentle nurturer. Taweret's protective nature shines most brightly in the face of the dangers that can accompany childbirth. Ancient Egyptians turned to her with heartfelt prayers, seeking her powerful intervention to safeguard the mother and child from harm. They believed that her presence ensured a smooth and safe delivery, warding off evil spirits and dangers that lurked in the shadows of the unknown. Her image, often depicted with a protective amulet, was a source of immense comfort, a visual reminder that she was there to shield them during this vulnerable time. As the goddess of childbirth, Taweret's influence extended beyond the act of giving birth. She was seen as a guardian of the entire period of infancy and early childhood. Her protective magic was believed to cover the newborn's first steps into the world, ensuring that the child would grow strong and healthy. Families would place amulets and charms with her likeness in cradles and homes, invoking her blessings for the well-being of their little ones. Taweret's role wasn't limited to the physical protection of mothers and children, she also offered emotional solace. The transition to motherhood can be a time of profound fear and uncertainty, and Taweret's presence was a source of reassurance and strength. Her nurturing nature provided a sense of calm, helping mothers to face their anxieties with courage. In this way, she was not just a deity but a comforting figure who understood the trials and triumphs of motherhood. Her importance was also reflected in the rituals and ceremonies surrounding childbirth. Ancient Egyptians performed various rites to honor Taweret and seek her favor. These rituals were filled with hope and devotion, as families came together to celebrate the arrival of new life and to invoke Taweret's blessings. In these moments of shared reverence, Taweret's role as a protector was celebrated and reaffirmed, her divine presence a cherished part of the journey into parenthood. Taweret's influence continued throughout the early years of a child's life. She was believed to safeguard against illnesses and misfortunes, ensuring that the child would thrive and flourish. Her protective power extended into every aspect of a child's development, from their physical health to their emotional well-being. This unwavering guardianship was a source of immense comfort for parents, who trusted in her divine care to watch over their precious ones. In ancient Egyptian culture, Taweret was not just a figure of mythology, she was a tangible presence in the lives of those who sought her help. Her image was widely used in amulets, jewelry, and household items, a constant reminder of her protective power. Families adorned their homes and personal belongings with symbols of Taweret, believing that these objects would bring her blessings and keep her watchful eyes on them. Taweret's role as the goddess of childbirth embodies the profound bond between protector and the protected. Her presence during the delicate moments of birth and early childhood represents a divine assurance that the transition into life is guided and safeguarded. The ancient Egyptians' deep reverence for Taweret highlights their recognition of the vulnerability and beauty of new life and their desire to honor and protect it. As we reflect on Taweret's role, we are reminded of the enduring strength and compassion that she symbolizes. Her protective nature and nurturing presence offer a heartwarming testament to the divine care that watches over the most precious moments of life. Taweret's legacy is a powerful reminder that, in times of great change and new beginnings, there is always a guiding force ready to offer protection and comfort. Her story is a poignant celebration of the sacred bond between a mother, her child, and the divine guardians who ensure their safety and well-being. In the heart of ancient Egypt, where the desert's heat meets the Nile's life-giving waters, danger lurked in every shadow. Amidst the arid sands and teeming wildlife, the scorpion goddess, Serket, stood as an indomitable shield against venomous threats. Her name echoed with both the promise of protection and the fierce reality of danger, her role a critical one in safeguarding the lives of those who called Egypt home. Visualize a world where the smallest creatures can carry the deadliest poison. Serket, with her scorpion form, was more than a mere symbol of danger. She was a formidable protector against the venomous creatures that could strike from the dark. Her role as a guardian against poisons and venom was not just a protective measure but a deep-seated necessity for survival in a land where every step could be fraught with peril. Serket's presence was a divine assurance that the people of Egypt were not alone in their fight against these hidden threats. Her scorpion form, with its sharp claws and deadly sting, symbolized both the danger she guarded against and the power she wielded to protect her followers. Her image was often depicted with a scorpion's tail, a constant reminder of her vigilance and strength. To the ancient Egyptians, the threat of venomous creatures was very real. Scorpions, snakes, and other poisonous animals were common in their environment, and the fear of their sting or bite was ever present. In this hostile setting, Serket's divine protection was not just a comforting thought but a tangible force that people invoked to shield themselves from harm. Her power to ward off these dangers made her an essential deity in the everyday lives of those who lived under the sun-soaked skies of Egypt. Rituals and prayers dedicated to Serket were performed with deep reverence and hope. People would call upon her name in times of peril, seeking her intervention to keep them safe from the creatures that prowled the dark corners of their world. Amulets bearing her likeness were worn as talismans to protect against venomous bites and stings, each piece a symbol of the divine safeguard that Serket provided. In the sacred spaces of temples and shrines, Serket was honored with ceremonies that celebrated her role as the protector. These rites were filled with fervent prayers and offerings, each act a plea for her continued watchfulness and care. The sense of community that gathered to honor her was united in their shared understanding of the threats they faced and their collective trust in her protective powers. Serket's role extended beyond mere protection. Her presence was a powerful reminder of the balance between life and death, a duality that was central to the Egyptian understanding of the world. Her ability to both embody the danger and offer protection against it symbolized the complex nature of existence in a land where the line between safety and threat was often thin. Her influence was felt not only in the immediate protection from poisonous creatures, but also in the broader sense of security she provided. To invoke Serket was to invite a sense of safety in a world filled with uncertainty. Her divine intervention was a source of immense comfort, a reassurance that even in the face of danger, there was a guardian who watched over them. Serket's legacy is a powerful testament to the ancient Egyptians' reverence for the forces that shaped their lives. Her role as the scorpion goddess reflects the intricate relationship between humans and their environment, a reminder of the constant vigilance required to navigate a world where danger could emerge from the most unexpected places. Through her fierce protection, Serket offered more than just safety. She provided a profound sense of security and peace, a divine shield against the threats that lay hidden in the shadows. In the bustling crossroads of the ancient world, where the grandeur of Rome met the wisdom of Greece, Egyptian deities cast their shadows far beyond the Nile. As Greek and Roman empires stretched their influence, they encountered Egyptian gods, whose mystique and power wove seamlessly into the fabric of Greco-Roman religion. The merging of these traditions is a captivating tale of how ancient beliefs intertwined, creating a rich tapestry of spirituality that transcended boundaries. Amid the grand architecture of ancient Alexandria, the goddess Isis emerged as a beacon of this fusion. Isis, with her nurturing and protective attributes, captivated the imaginations of Greeks and Romans alike. To them, she was not just an Egyptian deity but a universal symbol of motherly care and divine intervention. Her presence in Greco-Roman culture was a profound testament to her enduring appeal and the versatility of her divine role. Isis's worship in the Greco-Roman world did not merely adopt Egyptian elements but transformed them. She was often depicted in ways that resonated with the local traditions of her new worshippers. Her iconic imagery, such as the throne-shaped crown and the ankh, became intertwined with Greco-Roman symbols, creating a blend that spoke to both cultures. Her influence extended from the elaborate temples of Rome to the intimate household shrines, where her presence was felt in the daily lives of many. The story of Osiris, her husband, also captivated the Greco-Roman imagination. Known for his association with the afterlife and resurrection, Osiris's mythology found a receptive audience in a world increasingly fascinated by the mysteries of death and rebirth. His myth, marked by themes of eternal life and divine justice, resonated with the Roman fascination for mystery religions and the Greek quest for spiritual understanding. The blending of Egyptian deities with Greco-Roman beliefs did not stop with Isis and Osiris. The process was a vibrant example of cultural exchange, where gods like Horus and Serapis also took on new dimensions. Serapis, for instance, was a god created specifically to unite Greek and Egyptian religious practices. Combining aspects of Osiris and Apis with Greek deities, Serapis represented a fusion of divine qualities that appealed to a diverse audience. His worship reflected the dynamic nature of religious adaptation, a way for the Egyptian gods to remain relevant in a changing world. Horus, the falcon-headed god, also found new expressions in the Greco-Roman context. Known for his role as a protector and avenger, Horus's attributes were embraced by the Romans, who saw parallels with their own gods of protection and justice. His role as a divine guardian fit seamlessly into the Roman understanding of the divine watchfulness over their empire. This fusion of Egyptian and Greco-Roman traditions was not just about blending images and stories. It was a profound exchange of ideas and beliefs that shaped religious practices across the Mediterranean. Temples dedicated to these merged deities became centers of worship that bridged cultures and brought together communities with different backgrounds. Pilgrims and worshippers from various parts of the empire could find a common ground in the divine figures who had transcended their origins. The impact of this cultural and religious amalgamation was felt deeply in both personal and communal realms. For many, the Egyptian gods provided a sense of continuity and connection to a rich ancient tradition, while also fitting into the broader Greco-Roman religious landscape. The worship of these gods offered a sense of belonging and divine reassurance that transcended geographical and cultural boundaries. In the temples and homes of ancient Rome and Greece, the echoes of Egyptian mythology were not just whispers of a distant land, but vibrant, living traditions that continued to shape the spiritual lives of people. The gods who once ruled the Nile now graced the Mediterranean, their stories and symbols enriched by the blend of cultures that defined the ancient world. This cross-cultural reverence created a unique spiritual environment, where Egyptian deities stood as powerful symbols of divine care and protection, seamlessly integrated into the rich mosaic of Greco-Roman religion. The legacy of these interactions remains a poignant reminder of how ancient civilizations could blend their beliefs and create something enduring and deeply touching across time and space. In the early days of Christianity, as new ideas began to spread across the Roman Empire, ancient Egyptian beliefs subtly, yet profoundly, shaped the emerging Christian faith. The story of this influence is not just about borrowed symbols or ideas, but a deep intertwining of spiritual and cultural threads that created a new, vibrant tapestry of faith. One of the most striking ways Egyptian mythology impacted early Christianity was through symbols. The ankh, a prominent symbol of life in Egyptian religion, began to appear in Christian art, albeit transformed. In Egyptian tradition, the ankh represented eternal life and was a powerful emblem of the god's promise of immortality. As Christianity began to spread, the ankh's association with eternal life echoed the Christian promise of resurrection and everlasting life through Christ. Though its form was often altered, its essence, life beyond death, resonated deeply with Christian beliefs. Another significant influence came through the concept of divine rebirth. In Egyptian religion, gods like Osiris were celebrated for their roles in resurrection and renewal. This idea of rebirth was deeply rooted in the Egyptian spiritual understanding of life, death, and the afterlife. Early Christians, grappling with their own beliefs about resurrection and new life in Christ, found these themes familiar and compelling. The parallels between Osiris's rebirth and Christ's resurrection provided a framework that helped shape early Christian teachings about life after death. The imagery of the Virgin Mary also shows the echo of Egyptian influence. Egyptian art frequently depicted goddesses, such as Isis, holding their children, symbolizing divine motherhood and protection. As Christianity developed, the image of the Virgin Mary holding the infant Jesus took on a similar aura of divine motherhood. While the Virgin Mary's role is distinct, the visual parallels reflect how early Christian artists were influenced by Egyptian representations of divine figures nurturing their children. This shared iconography served to bridge the old and new beliefs, making Christian teachings more accessible to those familiar with Egyptian traditions. In the realm of architecture, Egyptian influences can be seen in early Christian church designs. The basilica, a structure often used for worship in early Christianity, bore similarities to the grand temples of ancient Egypt. The use of grand columns, vast halls, and intricate decorative elements in Christian churches echoed the architectural splendor of Egyptian temples, reflecting a shared sense of reverence and grandeur in sacred spaces. Additionally, early Christian art sometimes incorporated motifs and elements from Egyptian symbolism. The use of lotus flowers, for example, which were significant in Egyptian art for their associations with creation and rebirth, began to appear in early Christian mosaics and decorations. These symbols, while reinterpreted, retained their powerful associations with spiritual renewal, aligning with the Christian emphasis on resurrection and new beginnings. The interaction between Egyptian mythology and early Christianity was not just a matter of visual and symbolic influence, but also of deeper spiritual concepts. The idea of divine judgment and the weighing of the soul, central to Egyptian beliefs, found parallels in Christian teachings about the final judgment and the separation of the righteous from the wicked. This shared focus on moral evaluation and the afterlife provided a common ground that helped shape early Christian eschatology. In the ancient world, where cultures and beliefs were constantly interacting, the integration of Egyptian elements into early Christianity was part of a larger pattern of cultural exchange. This blending of traditions created a rich, multifaceted religious landscape where new and old ideas coexisted, influenced each other, and gradually evolved into something uniquely Christian. The early Christians, drawing upon the symbols and concepts of the past, crafted a new faith that honored their own spiritual insights while acknowledging the profound legacy of those who came before them. This fusion of Egyptian and Christian elements was a testament to the resilience and adaptability of religious ideas. The echoes of Egyptian mythology within early Christian thought and art illustrate how ancient traditions can continue to shape and inspire new forms of belief. Through these connections, the spiritual heritage of Egypt became woven into the fabric of Christian faith, creating a shared legacy of hope, renewal, and divine promise that transcends time and place. Imagine standing in the heart of the Egyptian desert, where the scorching sun casts long shadows over ancient ruins. With every step, you are walking on history, treading the same sands where pharaohs once ruled and gods were worshipped. This is not just a scene from a historical drama. It's the real-life drama of rediscovery that has unfolded in modern times. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Egyptology emerged as a groundbreaking field dedicated to unearthing the secrets of ancient Egypt. The passion and persistence of early Egyptologists, armed with nothing but their courage and curiosity, began to peel back the layers of time that had concealed a rich tapestry of history and mythology. One of the most thrilling aspects of this rediscovery was the uncovering of ancient texts. Picture a dusty, dimly lit chamber, where the walls are adorned with intricate carvings, and a team of scholars carefully brushes away centuries of sand and grime. As the dust settles, faded hieroglyphs begin to emerge, revealing stories of gods, pharaohs, and cosmic battles that had been lost to the ages. The moment when these ancient writings are deciphered is nothing short of magical. Each symbol, each word, speaks of a time when people looked to the stars for guidance and carved their dreams into stone. Among the most significant finds were the pyramid texts, coffin texts, and the Book of the Dead. These texts are like windows into the soul of ancient Egypt, offering insights into their beliefs about life, death, and the afterlife. They speak of a world where gods and humans intertwined in a cosmic dance, and where the promise of eternal life was a driving force behind every ritual and every act of devotion. The discovery of these texts brought back to life the voices of priests and scribes who had been silent for millennia. Their words painted vivid pictures of the divine and the sacred, allowing modern scholars to piece together the mysteries of ancient Egyptian religion and mythology. It's as if the ancients themselves reached across the centuries to share their stories, their hopes, and their fears with us. The uncovering of temples and tombs also played a crucial role in this modern rediscovery. Think of the excitement when explorers like Howard Carter opened the tomb of Tutankhamun. The world watched in awe as the rich treasures, untouched for centuries, were revealed. Every artifact, from golden masks to intricately carved statues, told the story of a people who believed deeply in the divine and the eternal. These ancient temples and tombs were not merely places of burial, they were vibrant centers of worship and community. They were adorned with elaborate frescoes and sculptures that depicted the gods and goddesses of Egyptian mythology, offering a glimpse into the sacred rituals that once filled these spaces with life and reverence. Each temple, with its towering columns and sacred chambers, was a testament to the devotion and artistry of ancient Egypt. The rediscovery of Egyptian mythology through these texts and temples has not only enriched our understanding of the past, but has also touched the hearts and minds of countless people around the world. It's a reminder of the profound connections that span across time, of the shared human quest for meaning and transcendence. In modern times, Egyptology continues to illuminate the shadows of the past, revealing the depth and complexity of Egyptian mythology. It bridges the ancient and the contemporary, showing how the stories and beliefs of a distant civilization still resonate with us today. The thrill of discovering ancient texts, the awe of uncovering hidden temples, and the wonder of piecing together a lost world all contribute to a greater appreciation of our shared human heritage. Every artifact unearthed, every text deciphered, is a testament to the enduring power of history and mythology. It is as if the ancient Egyptians, through the efforts of modern explorers and scholars, are whispering their stories across the centuries, reminding us of the eternal quest for understanding and the timeless pursuit of the divine. There's something undeniably enchanting about Egyptian mythology, a mystique that captures the imagination and heart. It's as if the ancient stories, rich with gods, pharaohs, and magic, refuse to be confined to the past, continuously breathing life into modern culture. Think about the thrill of watching an epic film that transports you to ancient Egypt. The moment the screen lights up with scenes of grand pyramids, intricate hieroglyphs, and divine beings, you're not just a viewer, you're a participant in a timeless adventure. Movies like The Mummy and Gods of Egypt weave ancient myths into dazzling spectacles, filling hearts with awe and excitement. These films bring ancient gods like Anubis and Horus into the present, where their divine powers and epic battles unfold before our eyes. The dramatic retelling of these myths ignites our imaginations and connects us to the grandiosity of a civilization that revered gods and pharaohs with fervent devotion. In literature, the allure of Egyptian mythology takes on new forms. Books like The Kane Chronicles by Rick Riordan or The Egyptian Book of the Dead offer readers a chance to explore the mysteries of the gods and the underworld from the comfort of their own homes. Each page turned feels like a step back in time, a bridge between ancient belief and modern storytelling. Through vivid descriptions and engaging narratives, these books breathe life into the ancient myths, making them accessible and captivating for today's audience. Art, too, has been profoundly influenced by the mystique of Egyptian mythology. Artists across the globe have drawn inspiration from the striking imagery of gods with animal heads, the majestic splendor of pyramids, and the intricate patterns of ancient symbols. In galleries and museums, you can see how the ancient Egyptians' love for beauty and the divine has inspired countless modern artists. Their works capture the essence of Egyptian mythology, translating it into contemporary mediums while honoring its historical roots. The resurgence of Egyptian themes in popular culture isn't just about entertainment. It's a way of connecting with a past that still holds relevance and mystery. By reimagining ancient myths in modern contexts, we allow these stories to continue influencing our lives, inspiring our creativity, and sparking our curiosity. Through films, books, and art, Egyptian mythology remains vibrant and compelling, transcending time and space to captivate our hearts and minds. It's a testament to the enduring power of these ancient stories, reminding us that the past is never truly gone but lives on in the stories we tell and the art we create. There's something undeniably captivating about Egyptian mythology, a sense of magic that refuses to fade with the passage of time. Even after thousands of years, the ancient stories of gods, pharaohs, and mystical realms continue to mesmerize us, whispering their secrets across millennia. What is it about these ancient myths that still hold such power over our hearts and minds? Perhaps it's the sheer grandeur of the tales, where gods with animal heads walk among mortals, casting spells and weaving destinies. These stories paint a world both fantastical and vivid, where each deity embodies powerful forces, like Ra, the sun god whose daily journey across the sky symbolizes the eternal cycle of life and death, or Anubis, the guardian of the afterlife, whose presence promises protection and guidance in the unknown realms beyond. Every myth carries with it a sense of timelessness, a reminder of the human quest for meaning and understanding. The Egyptian gods are not just distant figures from a long-lost civilization, they are reflections of our own desires and fears. The struggles of Horus against Seth resonate with our battles against adversity, while the comforting embrace of Isis reflects our longing for love and protection. These ancient stories also captivate because they touch on universal themes, life, death, and the quest for immortality. The tales of mummification and the journey to the afterlife speak to our deepest fears and hopes about what comes after we draw our last breath. They offer a glimpse into a world where justice, morality, and the divine are intertwined, where every action in life is a step towards an eternal destiny. The power of these myths also lies in their beauty. Egyptian art, with its striking symbols and majestic representations, adds a visual splendor that enchants the eye and stirs the soul. The intricate hieroglyphs and vivid depictions of gods and goddesses turn ancient beliefs into a living, breathing spectacle that continues to inspire artists, writers, and dreamers. Moreover, Egyptian mythology has a unique way of blending with other cultures and eras, adapting to the needs and imaginations of each new generation. This ability to evolve while maintaining its core essence is what keeps the mythology alive and relevant. From the grandiose temples of ancient Egypt to the pages of modern books and the silver screen, these stories transcend their origins, becoming a part of our shared cultural heritage. As we explore these ancient tales, they remind us of our place in the world and our connection to those who walked before us. They offer a bridge to a distant past, a touchstone for our own spiritual and intellectual quests. In every retelling, every adaptation, Egyptian mythology finds a way to speak to the human experience, echoing our deepest hopes and fears, and binding us to the ancient world with threads of wonder and reverence. In the end, the enduring fascination with Egyptian mythology is a testament to its timeless appeal. It's a celebration of stories that have captivated hearts for thousands of years, and a reminder that the ancient and the modern are forever intertwined in the grand narrative of human experience. There's a profound magic in the way ancient myths from distant lands resonate with one another, drawing threads of connection across time and space. Imagine, for a moment, standing at the crossroads where the myths of ancient Egypt meet those of Greece or Mesopotamia. The tales and deities from these diverse cultures weave a rich tapestry of shared themes and stories that span the globe. Take, for instance, the figure of Osiris from Egyptian mythology. Osiris, the god of the afterlife and resurrection, shares remarkable similarities with Greek deities such as Dionysus and Persephone. Osiris's journey through death and rebirth mirrors the Greek tales of Persephone's descent into the underworld and her return, marking the changing seasons. Both stories revolve around themes of life, death, and the renewal of nature, reflecting the universal human fascination with the cycles of life. Then there's Ra, the Egyptian sun god, whose daily journey across the sky resembles the Greek god Helios. Both Ra and Helios ride across the heavens in a chariot, symbolizing the sun's passage from dawn to dusk. This imagery of celestial chariots evokes a sense of divine order and cosmic rhythm that transcends cultures, highlighting a shared understanding of the sun's power and its central role in sustaining life. In Mesopotamian mythology, the gods often engage in epic struggles much like those seen in Egyptian stories. The battle between Horus and Seth in Egyptian lore echoes the Mesopotamian tales of the gods battling chaos and disorder. For instance, the struggle between Marduk and Tiamat in Babylonian mythology serves a similar narrative function, showcasing the eternal fight between order and chaos. These battles emphasize a universal theme in mythology, the triumph of divine order over primordial chaos. The creation myths of these cultures also reveal striking similarities. The Egyptian creation story, where the god Adam brings forth the world from the primordial waters of Nun, finds a parallel in the Mesopotamian myth of the god Ea creating humans from clay. Both myths articulate a vision of the cosmos emerging from a state of formlessness, reflecting a shared human wonder at the origins of life and the universe. Even the gods themselves share common attributes. The Egyptian goddess Isis, revered for her wisdom and protective nature, finds her counterpart in the Greek goddess Demeter. Both deities are associated with fertility, agriculture, and the care of humanity. Isis's role as a nurturing mother and protector mirrors Demeter's guardianship over the harvest and her profound influence on the fertility of the earth. These parallels are not mere coincidences, but reflections of shared human experiences and concerns. Across different cultures, the myths capture our collective hopes, fears, and values, offering insight into how different societies grapple with fundamental questions about life, death, and the divine. The emotions evoked by these stories are universal. The heartache of loss and the joy of renewal, the struggle against darkness and the triumph of light, these themes resonate deeply, transcending the boundaries of geography and culture. When we explore these myths, we are not just uncovering ancient stories, we are connecting with the essence of what it means to be human. The way these ancient myths intertwine with one another reveals a shared human heritage that binds us all. As we look back at these timeless stories, we see reflections of our own lives and emotions mirrored in the myths of others. This shared mythology serves as a reminder of our common threads, binding us together through the ages with tales of gods, heroes, and the eternal quest for meaning. In the shadows of the ancient pyramids and along the banks of the life-giving Nile, Egyptian mythology has carved a profound imprint on human thought, echoing through the corridors of time with an ageless resonance. The gods and goddesses of Egypt, with their vibrant stories and powerful symbols, have touched the very essence of human spirituality and philosophy in ways that transcend the ages. Consider the figure of Osiris, the god of the afterlife, whose story of death and rebirth has woven itself into the very fabric of our understanding of existence. Osiris's journey from death to resurrection offers a glimpse into the ancient Egyptian view of life's cyclical nature. This story, rich in emotion and transformation, has touched countless lives, inspiring reflections on our own lives and the possibility of renewal beyond the confines of mortality. Through Osiris, we confront our fears about death and our hopes for what might come after, finding comfort in the promise of eternal life and the idea that even in our darkest moments, there is the potential for renewal and rebirth. Similarly, the concept of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice, embodies the ancient Egyptian commitment to harmony and balance. Ma'at's presence in the world was seen as essential to the order of the cosmos and the well-being of humanity. Her scales, which weighed the hearts of the deceased to determine their fate in the afterlife, symbolize a universal pursuit of justice and moral integrity. This idea resonates deeply with our own search for truth and fairness in the world. Ma'at reminds us of the importance of living a life of balance and righteousness, inspiring us to seek justice and act with integrity in our daily lives. The mythology surrounding Ra, the sun god, also touches on profound spiritual themes. Ra's daily journey across the sky, fighting the serpent Apophis in the Underworld each night, is more than just a celestial event, it's a powerful metaphor for the struggle between light and darkness, good and evil. This eternal battle reflects our own personal struggles and aspirations. Each sunrise, as Ra emerges victorious, symbolizes hope and the triumph of light over darkness. This symbolism provides comfort and encouragement, reminding us that even in our darkest times, the light of hope and the promise of a new beginning are always within reach. The role of Egyptian deities like Hathor, the goddess of love and motherhood, further deepens our understanding of the human condition. Hathor's nurturing presence and her association with joy, fertility, and music highlight the sacredness of love and the profound impact of compassion and care in our lives. Her influence encourages us to cherish our relationships and celebrate the moments of happiness and love that enrich our lives. Hathor's myths serve as a reminder of the beauty and significance of human connection, resonating with our own experiences of love and nurturing. Moreover, the stories of gods like Anubis, who guided souls through the afterlife, and Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing, underscore the importance of guidance and knowledge in our spiritual journeys. Anubis's role in ensuring a safe passage to the afterlife and Thoth's association with wisdom and record-keeping reflect the ancient Egyptians' reverence for guidance, both in life and beyond. These myths inspire us to seek wisdom, value knowledge, and trust in the guidance we receive from both the divine and the earthly realms. As we reflect on the spiritual and philosophical impact of Egyptian mythology, it becomes clear that these ancient stories do more than just entertain. They offer timeless insights into the human condition. They challenge us to consider the nature of existence, the balance of justice, the cycles of life and death, and the importance of love and wisdom. Through these myths, we connect with the shared experiences and values that unite us across cultures and centuries. Egyptian mythology, with its rich tapestry of deities and stories, continues to inspire and resonate with us today. It serves as a bridge between the ancient and the modern, reminding us of the enduring questions and aspirations that define our humanity. These ancient tales, steeped in emotion and meaning, invite us to explore the depths of our own spiritual and philosophical beliefs, finding echoes of our own struggles and triumphs in the myths of a distant past.